Hello, everyone, and welcome to Experience Kills, Episode 4, E3 2019 Extravaganza. And I am joined by my boys, Team Extreme themselves. With me, as always, my partner in crime, the one and only Richard.
Hello. I'm under the weather, but I'm going to stick it out for everyone watching because that's what hero I am. Hello.
And today, we are joined by the Lone Samurai, the Rogue Warrior himself, the bearded one, Cameron McFarlane.
Say the bearded one. I'm one of two people. Well,
Three.
We're
Three.
all bearded.
Come on, Richard. You can't call that a beard.
Oh, tired, mate. He's got some grey in his beard though, so he's looking distinguished. I like it.
I wasn't gonna bring it up.
No, I think it looks good. I'm waiting. I'm really looking forward to going grey in general. I'm starting to go quite grey in my temples as I get old. If you hadn't already noticed, Experience Kills is a video game channel filled with old men. That's kind of our whole thing.
And I'm the youngest one of the damn group, and
yes.
I've genuinely had more grey hairs in my beard than you, Ben.
Yes, well, mine are mostly red because I have a disgusting ginger beard. That's why I want mine to go grey and hurry up and do it. But I guess we shouldn't spend too much time on the preamble on this episode because it is the season of the holiday season, if you like, for gamers. This time every year we get E3, and it is just one big announcement and piece of news after another. Though this year may be a little more muted than others because, we're missing some of the big players. No real EA showing, no big showing from Sony, no showing from Sony at all with PlayStation, which is just bizarre and weird to me not to have them there. Does that mean E3 is over? Well, maybe we'll talk about that at the end of the show, and maybe we can, hash out whether or not we think E3 should even return in 2020. But from Noise Cameron. But Richard looks like he has a man with 1,000-yard stare, and he just wants us to get straight into Xbox because that's the reason we mostly showed up, I think, this year. That's what brought me and Richard to the party more than anything, yeah?
Yeah, I think for me, it's the only one I watched beginning to end. The other shows I've sort of dipped into, and I've had a look at what they came out with, but only in a sort of truncated way. I've just looked at the highlights. But Xbox, I was fully into it. Watched it live. Got the wife to watch it with me because it's an event. You've got to watch it with someone.
Did it not happen on your wedding anniversary as well?
Yes.
Amazing. I love that so much. You got your wife to watch that with you on your wedding anniversary. Dedication. Cameron, were you similar? Did you dip in and out? Did you watch any of the briefings in full or anything?
Probably being the scum of Experience Kills, I don't have an Xbox. I know, I'm sorry. But I did dip into some of the extra bits. I'm a big fan of the Bethesda works, so I dipped into some of that. Really excited about obviously some of the big names coming out, like Cyberpunk, obviously being one of the big ones. And I did dip into Nintendo because I did play some in my childhood, and it is anyone, it's going to be a nostalgia feel for it. So quite excited about some of that stuff.
So what you guys are saying, I'm the only one that did the due diligence properly. Yes. I watched all of them in their entirety.
Yes, absolutely.
From start to finish. And some I regretted making that choice. only really one, actually, when we'll talk about that when we get there. But there was, I always watch them in full because I feel like listening to a great music album, to really appreciate the artistry, you need to see the whole thing through. You know what I mean? No, I mean, that's bullshit, but it doesn't really apply to E3 press conferences, but I'm going to tell myself it does because I've dedicated many hours to E3 2019 this week. So that's how I'm justifying it in my mind. Shall we jump straight into Xbox then? Let's get in there. And basically we're going to run down it in rough order, but guys, whenever you feel it's relevant, jump in. If you want to talk about a specific point, feel free. But I'm just going to start off with what they started off with, which was a new trailer for The Outer Worlds, which I thought looks pretty good. This is the guys that made the original Fallout. They made New Vegas, didn't they? Is it Obsidian, isn't it? Outer Worlds, yeah. So they made Fallout New Vegas, and I think they've got other Fallout pedigree back to the original Fallout 1s and 2s. And this looks like they've done everything they can to make a Fallout game, like in its visual style, but do a sci-fi one set on another planet. I mean, those character models look so much like something I've seen in Fallout 4. It's kind of freaky that it isn't being made by Bethesda. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it does look similar with a kind of Borderlands edge to it, humor-wise, particularly. It looks similar to that.
Humor-wise.
Yeah. But I don't know. I felt this was a weird choice to open with. Didn't you?
Yeah, a little bit. I thought well, it's made by a studio acquisition that they've now subsequently made. Now they own Obsidian. However, this game is going to be released multi-platform. So because it was, those deals were made prior to the acquisition. So it did feel like a bit of an odd one, but they did, I believe, didn't they then go throw to the stage and come out? The first people that came out on the stage were Ninja Theory. And they then showed, was it Bleeding Edge, didn't they? Is that right?
I don't know if that was first, but yes, they showed Bleeding Edge. I think just to talk about the Outer Worlds for a second, I think the takeaway from that was that they announced it was coming to Game Pass day one, and that set the scene. I think that was the main relevant point for me. Was that it was a big in-house title. Not sure it should have been first, but it's coming to Game Pass, and that was a trend for the rest of the evening. So much of what we saw is going to come to Game Pass straight away, and it just really set the tone for how important Game Pass is going to be for the next generation, I think.
I think you brought up Game Pass immediately, so let's talk about the big news talking about Game Pass that's just come out. Me and Richard have already been partaking in this in Crazy Good Deal, and now it's available to everyone. So Ultimate Game Pass, or Game Pass Ultimate, has just launched properly to the masses. And what that includes is Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Live Gold, and PC Game Pass, is it Game Pass PC or PC Game? I don't know. Which is 100 odd games on PC. It's over 200 now on Xbox and Xbox Live Gold, all for I think it's $14.99 a month. Bit less in the UK. How much is it? $10.99 in the UK. However, there are a crazy it's a £1 deal right now, but it does this thing where it will stack your membership based on how much Xbox Live Gold or Game Pass you already have to then
it
match
you
it.
It's a quid for the first month, and then whatever balance you've got across your other subscriptions, so Game Pass and Xbox Live Gold, it will combine those end to end and add those on to your Game Pass Ultimate subscription. So instead of paying $10.99 for the next 2 years, I've paid, I don't know. I think I've covered. What did I say to you, Ben? I'm covered through to 2021, near the end of 2021, I think.
Yeah, and you bought like a couple of years of Xbox Live, didn't you?
Having paid like half price for Xbox Live and half price for a Game Pass subscription, it's covered me for flipping ages now. So although it's advertised at $10.99, I won't be paying anywhere near that for a long time.
I'm not quite as far into the future on mine as yours because I didn't sort of abuse the system like you did. However, but I mean, you'd be mad not to do what you've done. But I'm through to next year, and I'm not going to pay again until January or whatever, and then it'll only be a quid. So it's kind of for the first month anyway. But even at $10.99, right? This is an insane deal, right? It's an incredible deal.
That's what you pay for Netflix, and if it's going to give you a really good selection of games that it's not just old tat. This is new stuff that's coming out regularly now.
Yeah,
good quality first party stuff and more because they announced that Metro Exodus on the show was coming to Game Pass that evening. It's only been out since March.
Yep. Yep. I mean, so you obviously have a piece of crap PC, Rich, but I can tell you this is another reason for you to sort that out. Because the library on PC is also really decent and it's growing very quickly, and they've got loads of studios on board with it. And there's some really good PC only titles on there, and actually a lot of them are going to be supporting achievements as well. They're not all of them, but a lot of them are. I just think this is the way forward. This service that Xbox is now offering. We don't really care too much about hardware, but let's get you all in our ecosystem via this Game Pass initiative is very, like you said, very indicative of their entire conference and showing this is their focus. Cam, right, you don't own an Xbox. Sorry. What are you thinking about all this? No, it's fine. What are you thinking about all this? This is a really good reason, I think, for somebody to pick up an Xbox.
It's the reason, I think. It's just a big game changer.
Don't start trying to make me buy things again. I can't afford things. No, it sounds almost too good to be true. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, it sounds amazing. It sounds like they're. I'm not saying that they're going to compete for kind of like what the Google's going for with like Stadia for the streaming sort of service and having a lot of games all together one big platform or multi-platform, if you know what I mean.
So
Well, the streaming thing is slightly separate, isn't it?
So you bring up xCloud.
About xCloud.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
xCloud is a separate service where you will stream games from sort of a remote cloud server, or you can use your own Xbox. I think this is going to be the new Xbox, though, isn't it? So Project Scarlet will act as an xCloud server itself, and you can.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure it is necessarily Scarlet that they're talking about that specifically with. Because they're going to start betaing that towards the end of this year, xCloud. So I'm not sure it necessarily is just Scarlet, Rich, to be honest.
Oh, maybe it's Xbox One then, but you know, that's the concept: is that you can use your own console as an xCloud server and play maybe off a laptop elsewhere and just link to your Xbox. So essentially, it's the same as what PS4 has been doing for a while.
Well, I mean,
a bit better.
That element of local streaming is, but PS4 didn't do the streaming off of their huge decentralized server network, which is what obviously you're going to be using Azure to really get xCloud out as well. And I think, you know, people have tried to interview Phil since the press conference and get him to talk about pricing, and he's not willing to do it. However, there are very strong indications that your ultimate sub will include xCloud as part of it.
Yeah, but if you've got the hardware, if you're running it from your console, that is free. So it's only if you're doing it from a server that you're sort of.
Have they said that?
Yeah.
Have they?
Yeah, Phil Spencer said it on stage.
Did he? I don't remember that bit. Okay. But I mean, it makes sense. That is then what you're talking about is the same as that bit is the PS4 thing.
That bit is the same.
Yeah. But I think, there's more to it than that. I think bigger ambitions.
The Game Pass service, though, so just going back to that, that's a separate thing entirely. So we're not talking streaming there. We're talking a library of games that are available to download for the price of that subscription. And there's a couple of hundred titles in there. Loads of them are really good.
Really good.
And loads of them are there permanently because it's first-party stuff.
So what I like is there's a strong sense of curation that goes into Game Pass. Like, it's not just anybody who's like coming over to them going, "Oh, go on, can we have ours on there?" It seems to be that they really have curation in mind and actually thinking about what goes up on a certain month. Does it relate to a new game? Does it fit into the ethos of what they're trying to push at the moment? Is it an underrepresented genre? That kind of thing. And they're actually really thinking about the games. And damn, are some of them, like Metro Exodus was mad. I mean, we both, bought that game. But like, I'm super happy to see that coming onto a service this quick. That's just mad. That's just mad. I love that. Really, really good. Anything else you guys want to bring up on this subject before we move into more of the games?
No, only that I hope it works for them because it's a really good service. It deserves to get some buy-in because it's like I say, it really is a game changer for console gaming. If it takes off, then it negates all those concerns about what happens to your digital purchases when the console lifecycle rolls around. It doesn't matter, does it? If you've just got a Netflix service that is just subscription based, you play what you want to play when it's available at the time.
So I think
curating stuff and games don't get lost, which it appears they're not going to, because that is also a Microsoft focus, making sure that you can play last gen stuff, the generation before that. They're doing their best to make sure that games of all generations are curated, along with making new games available to everyone.
So you've brought up generations then. So I feel like let's just do it. So we got the first taste of Scarlet at this show. And it was a very similar taste as to what we got for PlayStation 5 recently when Cerny came out and started talking about that pre-E3. And in many ways, it's very similar hardware with very similar benefits.
Yeah.
So it's a very similar AMD chip inside. They're talking about the solid state drives, massive improvements in load time. They're very sort of things of a similar nature. We did not get a look at hardware itself. We did not get final specs. They're obviously talking about it's going to be super powerful and it's going to do all these amazing things in a slightly nebulous sense. I think they missed a trick here, not coming out with something a little more concrete. Richard, what did you think of it? And what any other big points from it that I'm maybe forgetting at this point?
I don't think that they needed to come up with anything more concrete. There was a telling comment. I can't remember exactly the phrase they used, so I'll paraphrase. But they talked about how the leap in the next generation is not going to be for graphical fidelity on screen. It's going to be more under the hood depth. So how big games can be, how quick they can load, how much freedom you'll have to act within a game because of that newfound freedom with load times. So it's going to feel different rather than look different. So in that respect, I'm not so surprised that they didn't show much, well, any gameplay from the new Scarlet console. I don't think a lot of people will tell the difference between what is currently possible on Xbox One. Some of the stuff coming out on PS4 especially is just mind-blowing compared to what the console was doing just a couple of years ago. It looks like a generational leap. So when we get to Scarlet at the end of 2020, I don't think it's going to be blowing people's minds in just visual fidelity. As I say, it's going to be more in the gaming possibilities, and you can't really summarize that in an E3 show. So,
yeah, no, that's fair.
They're probably right to be a bit vague about it.
So in relation to this, we found out that they're promising forward compatibility. So every Xbox One game will work on Scarlet. All the 360 games that have been made to work on Xbox One will work on Scarlet, as well as all the OG Xbox games that have been made to work on Xbox One will work on Scarlet. So your entire library will come forward with you, which I think is awesome. If you, like me and Richard, have a substantial Xbox library, that's really cool. And just the idea of being able to play those games with next to no load time is pretty badass. That's pretty exciting.
Do we know if that's actually going to include hardware like original discs that people might have from the old Xbox days?
Should do. Yeah. If it's back compat, you just put the disc in and it'll work. Yeah.
Because I was gonna say, because even though I haven't got an Xbox anymore, I still have some old like CDs lying around. So, last game I remember playing of an old Xbox game was probably Star Wars. It was like Jedi Academy or something like that. Or
that's on the backwards compatibility list, isn't it? For sure.
Oh, sweet.
Jedi Academy is, yeah. I mean, so the one thing that has come out of this is that the team that's working on this are the back compat team, and they've been working on bringing 360 games to Xbox One, and that has now stopped. They will be bringing no more 360 games to Xbox One or original Xbox games. We had the last little wave of those this week, and they are now focusing on making sure all of those games that I've just mentioned, every single one of those games works on Scarlet. So it's all the thousands of Xbox One games that have come out. I think it's like 800 360 games, I want to say, something like that, or 650, 700, loads of them. And then there's a handful of original Xbox games as well. And they're all, the work is now to make that work on the new systems, which theoretically should be a lot easier than it was to work on this generation because they have very similar architectures, and it's not hugely different internals, so hopefully that will be doable for them.
They're doing it this time around.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to remember they started this generation completely in a different place to where they're going now. They would never have intended to build this as a pure gaming platform with heritage and all that at the center of it, and that's where they've ended up, with Xbox One being the premier console, where you can be pretty sure that if you buy a game, that's future-proofed and you'll take your games with you. That doesn't happen with PlayStation, and I think it's a really big selling point for them. But knowing that's where they are now and they want to stick to that, they'll have a head start in developing Scarlet around that ethos.
Tell me you're not going to miss those 360 back compat title announcements every week, though, or every couple of weeks or every month. I looked forward to that. I always look forward to which one of my 360 games is gonna now work, or what gem did that I missed the first time around can I now pick up and play on my Xbox One. I'm gonna miss that.
But I am gonna miss it, but I don't begrudge them stopping because
and they're transparent about it. You know? So it's they're saying we have to do this work now. So it's a lot of work. We're going to need 18 months to make that happen. So it's like fair enough. Go do that.
Oh yeah,
So, yeah.
Are we expecting a 2020 launch for this?
They've said it's fall of next year. Yeah.
Nice.
If I was a betting man, I'd say November. Anyone else?
Yeah.
What early? What this year or next year?
Next year, November next year. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds about viable.
Yeah, I reckon your PS5 as well will be November next year. So it's gonna be an expensive month, that one, Rich.
Don't get me excited. Don't get me excited.
But yeah. So anything else you want to touch upon on that sort of hardware front? There is one other obviously big hardware announcement, but that's not exactly related to the console stuff. But
it sort of is. We can talk about that. So they announced the new Elite controller Series 2.
Yeah,
I've already pre-ordered.
So have I.
That's my Christmas gift.
Yep, did the same. I went and I did it in a physical shop and everything.
How do you guys have money?
I don't. This is my wife's money.
He's got the right idea. I like it. Good strategy.
So I think it's supposed to retail at 180, but Amazon are doing it 160, or at least they were.
It's 179 US. I think it's 159 UK.
Is it? Okay. I've not got the amazing deal I thought I had then. So 160 quid in the UK. I've pre-ordered from Amazon. Comes out November 4th, I think. And I've wanted this for a long time because I've got two Elite controllers at the moment. They've seen better days. So on one of them especially, I've had the same issue as you with the rubber grip starting to peel away. That's a problem. One of the sticks is getting a bit loose. Other people have reported some bumper problems with the Elite controllers as well. I've not experienced that. But apparently all that's improved in the new Series 2.
They made the right noises, didn't they? They talked about, and showed quite a lot of I watched Inside Xbox as well the following night after the conference, and they showed a large feature on the testing and the industrial design that went into this. And it's like, you're making the right noises. I want to believe that you will make the durability improvements. That will mean I will carry this forward onto my Scarlett and it will be my controller for, years to come. One of the things I really loved from a design point of view, that they're including this charger that can sit in the case and you can plug it in through the back of the case, and it's got a little plug hole that you can take out. I was like, guys, you've really listened to the gamers who use the Elite and how they keep it safe in their little control case and stuff, and they look after it. And it's like, I really like how you understand the people that are spending this kind of money on a controller and how they want to treat it.
That is cool. Yeah, so it's USB-C charged now.
Bluetooth, importantly.
Bluetooth. So it comes with a little charge stand, like you say, which you can plug in through the case, so you can charge it without taking it out of its little box,
which is lovely.
It's got 3 digital profiles now, so you can button map for
and a default one, which I thought was cool. So if you don't select one of the profiles, if you just have it unselected, it will just default to regular controller map, which I think is a really good idea.
That's smart.
Really clever.
I'm going to be honest, I think I missed that on our little show notes, and I've just watched the trailer for it. And I don't have an Xbox, but I want one of those controllers.
It's sexy, isn't it?
The best, isn't it?
It's I'm one of those guys that's sort of like, it's a controller. Why would you spend £150? But looking at it, it's fucking incredible.
Yeah, it's great. So it's got you can tighten the sticks now, so you can change the tension on the analogs.
Yeah, shorter hair triggers, so you can.
Because so the V1 had 2 options on the triggers, right? So you could have full press or half. This looks like it's going to have fractional press, so it's really short throw. So you can just be killing everybody in Call of Duty and PUBG and whatever. Obviously, Cam, even though you don't have an Xbox, this will work on your PC.
I did see. So. It did get me a little bit giddy when I saw PC and Xbox. I like the alternate modes that you can set for it.
Yeah, the profiles. Yeah,
different profiles. You can have one for racing and one for FPS games. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Have you not used the Series 1 controller then, Cameron? Because the paddle.
I don't think I should answer, because the last time I used an Xbox controller on my PC was an Xbox 360 wired controller.
I've still got one of them. I have a 360 controller for my PC. It's brilliant. It's a great controller.
I
It works.
only ask
That's what
'cause
matters. It works.
they haven't really talked about the paddles on this because they're the same as they were. But for me, that's the biggest difference in using an Elite controller.
With the bits at the back, was
Yeah,
it?
the
I was
paddles
wondering
on
what
the
they were
back
for.
make a big difference. So they're, instead of using the fascia buttons, so the A, B, X, Y on the front, they're mapped to the paddles on the back. So you
Or the
don't
D-pad.
or the D-pad if you want.
Yeah,
So
super
yeah, you
helpful.
don't have, the idea is you don't have to take your thumbs off the analog sticks to press the fascia buttons. So you've got immediate access to everything at all times, and it really changes the way.
So think about that. You play a lot of competitive shooters and stuff. That gives you a real edge in speed and reaction times.
That's actually incredible. I mean, especially like I've been playing a lot of Apex Legends lately.
Oh yeah.
To when you're doing things like Pathfinder and you're grappling hooking around and you're trying to aim where you're going while jumping and avoiding. That's an actual edge, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, big time. Oh yeah, big time. It takes a little bit of getting used to. You have to sort of train yourself, but once you've got your head around it, I used the first one a lot playing Division, which has a lot of D-pad commands that, like, you know, you're using powers and stuff on the D-pad, and I was able to map all the D-pad commands to the paddles. So I basically, you never had to take your thumb off that left stick to try and use a D-pad, which can really obviously slow you down and make it a lot less accurate. It's a big improvement, big improvement than that. No, I can't wait for this. I'm proper excited for November, for Christmas and stuff now. I can't wait. I'm not going to be waiting until Christmas Day, Richard, by the way. There's no flipping way.
Well, you know what?
Your wife makes you, doesn't she? Yeah, she's really strict.
Well, no, she's not actually. No, she's not. She'll probably let me.
She's not strict. She just doesn't know.
Oh yeah,
I'll be strict if she never finds out.
Like when she's at work. It's a good idea. See, Karen, yeah, good ideas. Good ideas. So that's all the sort of the hardware. We kind of, so much for my roughly in order. Forget that. But we've talked about all the Xbox hardware. So let's talk about. I mean, this conference, right? This briefing from them was so many games that I was almost kind of exhausted by the end of it. Like it just didn't stop with the games, one after another. So let's talk about.
It's a case of be careful what you wish for, isn't it?
It was 60 games, wasn't it? It was 60 games. It was incredible. So let's talk about one of the big ones.
We've told them for the past couple of years, you haven't got enough games, mate. So
yeah. Now I got too many. Chill out. Step back. Yeah. Well, I get the impression, right? So when no Sony, so there's all these third parties that are like, well, we want to show on a stage, a la Cyberpunk 2077. Where are we going to do it? Let's do it at Xbox, because there's no PlayStation to worry about. So let's do it at Xbox. This got to be my favorite moment of the entire E3, and I imagine it's everyone's, isn't it? I mean, Keanu Reeves coming out on stage after revealing that he's in the game at the end of the trailer. Wasn't that amazing? Wasn't he brilliant?
He's a dreamboat.
It had me hollering. It had my wife hollering. That was a proper moment. It
was super cool.
Really good.
Yeah. Because he's really hot right now. He's really back in a big way. You know, John Wick's huge. He's going to be back in Bill and Ted. You know, real resurgence of Keanu Reeves, and to have him on the stage. And typical Hollywood. Basically, he says, "I don't play video games, but I was approached by these people with a cool story, and I was like, go on then." And it's kind of like, at least you're honest, Keanu. At least you're not pretending to be a gamer.
The funny is, you say it that way, but like in so many different interviews he's given, that's pretty much, I can guarantee exactly how it went. It's like, we have a great idea for you. Sure, why not?
Yes, I'll do that.
I mean, my brother's not really like into gaming and stuff like that, but he's a big fan of the old Bill and Ted series. And like, the first thing I said is like, dude, Keanu Reeves is going to be in a video game, and he just posted like, sent me like 5 different little gifs of Bill and Ted, just like, yeah, excellent.
Yes, I mean, that is one of those things as well. That means, you know, they're not stupid, so they're doing this for the gaming audience, but they're also doing this to increase, you know, their own audience by getting out to non-gamers that might now check out Cyberpunk. You know, those guys that buy just Call of Duty and FIFA every year, right? Those kind of semi-casual gamers. Now they're going to probably pick up Cyberpunk as well because of the Hollywood connection, because of John Wick, which I think a lot of those people are going to be really enjoying. And I think it's very cool. And you know, he was great. He was getting heckled, but he was brilliant, and it was kind of lovely heckling anyway. And he was giving it back and forth, and it was so Cyberpunk. What do you guys think of Cyberpunk? What do we think?
That was the best retort ever. It's like, this is breathtaking. You're breathtaking. Oh, that was fun. That was amazing. That's the highlight of E3 for me. I'm done now. I've talked about Keanu Reeves. I can go. I'll see you guys soon.
No, you're here for the next 3 hours, Cameron. So
That was
no,
my
I mean,
favourite spot. But yeah, it did kind of overshadow the game a bit, didn't it? But yeah, you're
it
right to
did.
talk about the game
So,
itself.
so let's talk about the first thing about the game that we're going to talk about quite a bit, which is not in game. This was, CGI cutscene or trailer that was put together, not using in-game engine. So, I mean, it was a tone piece. It kind of, last year we got, a very early bit of footage from the game, which I think they only released due to the pressure that they were put under by the fans to see it, because it was originally shown behind closed doors. And this was a much more polished presentation. And, it introduced Keanu Reeves' character, who's going to be this like AI type character in your brain that's going to show up, throughout the game. He's a major character, not just a cameo. And I don't know, what did you guys think of what they showed and how they showed it? I don't think I was massively impressed. I'm always going to buy this game because I love The Witcher 3 and I love the whole Witcher series, and I'm going to buy this game. It doesn't matter what they showed, but it didn't exactly blow me away.
No, same actually. I was a little bit disappointed because there's been so much hype around it, but it doesn't look bad, does it?
No.
It's just not. I don't know. I suppose it's like the Watch Dogs effect, isn't it? When Watch Dogs got first announced, and people's minds were absolutely blown that a game could look that good, and lo and behold, it didn't look that good. So yeah, they've done it to themselves really by elevating expectations so high. But I'm sure it's still going to be a great game. Like you say, it's day one purchase, isn't it? People are going to buy it.
So when we get this, it's is it March next year or May next year? It was one of them, wasn't it? I can't remember what it was now.
I think it's March.
March next year. Okay, so it's a lot sooner. It's kind of this thing that started with Death Stranding just prior to E3, the big announcement that that's coming this November, and that November, really, we're getting that this March. Is that soon? We're getting it like we were expecting this on the next generation, and yet these games are appearing on this generation, which I think is. I mean, what do you guys think of that? Do you think that's interesting? Do you think that's worrying? Is it a case that they're actually looking at the future hardware and how it's going to be able to support these games, even going forward, and improve those load times and stuff like that? And it's showing that they're really getting a lot out of these systems now as it comes to the end of their life cycles.
I think it's a reaction to things we've. Sorry, Cameron.
No, you go ahead, mate.
I was just going to say, I think it's a reaction to what we've seen happen over the past couple of years, where games have been announced way in advance, and it's no particular company that's done this. It's been across the board. So you've got Microsoft have announced stuff well in advance, only for it to be cancelled. So Fable Legends has gone, Scalebound has gone. They've had high-profile announcements that have just been canned. You've had Sony doing the same thing with I forgot what it was called now. What was that game that took about 7 years to come out and then wasn't that great, with a big dog thing in it?
Oh, Last Guardian.
Last Guardian, there you go. So yeah, there was a trend of announcing stuff well early, and it just built up hype. That hype died by the time the game came out, if it came out at all. So I think they've started to go the other way. Gears was similar. Gears 5, they haven't really shown anything yet. Didn't talk about when it's coming out. E3 rolls around and they've said, right, here's the game, it's coming out September. Yeah, it's not that far away.
Wearing my hat and repping the Gears today.
But
yeah, I mean, I don't know if we want to get off Cyberpunk straight away, but we can get to Gears. And basically, Rob Ferguson comes out and he kind of lays out the roadmap of how they're going to unveil it. So today we're looking at, E3, they're looking at this new game type, which was called anyone? I can't remember. It's basically like a 3-player survival game type where they have to escape. Is it called Escape?
Arcade?
No, Arcade's something they're going to be showing next at Gamescom. So I think this was Escape. This mode was called Escape, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah,
that rings a bell.
I've actually got there by just trying to describe it, which I guess means it's got a good name. So in Escape, you're escaping from a hive buster bomb, and some pageantry, and then they're going to show off Arcade, and then they're going to show off Versus, and then they're not going to show campaign and co-op and stuff until the month the game comes out, which is September. So I think, and I think it's that is indicative of the fact that this game is going to be massively on Game Pass. and it's an exclusive to Xbox. And I think that means they know, don't they, that if you've got an Xbox and you want Gears, get freaking Game Pass. And if you get Ultimate Game Pass or Game Pass Ultimate, I keep doing it the wrong way around, you'll get the Ultimate version of Gears, which actually comes out a few days early as well. So it's very smart, and they're really incentivizing that Game Pass subscription. As if you needed any more reasons, because it's the best deal in gaming.
It's funny, isn't it? When it was first announced, you and I were like, "Why would we want that?"
Yeah,
I couldn't be without it now.
Nope, it's become completely essential to me, and I'm on a huge achievement like gamer score binge right now, where I'm just going through every game in my catalog, every game on Game Pass, and just getting as many achievements as I can, as quickly as I can. I don't know why I'm doing that now, but I'm just kind of in that mood right now. I'm just trying loads of random games. It's kind of fun. It's good to do in the summer when there's not a lot of releases. And with Game Pass makes that brilliant. Like, that's the best thing ever for that. So no, I mean, loving Gears. I thought that looked, I don't know. So another CGI trailer for Gears, and then we got a second CGI trailer. So we actually got two, didn't we? We got the one showing off like Kate being all multi-personality weird. I don't know if you watched that, Cam.
If that's the way you want to put it, then yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, she's like got all the people trapped in her own brain. And then we got the CGI trailer for Escape, which I just show the games. I mean, I don't quite understand. These games are right around the corner. Why can't you show gameplay? Is it because we've got to a point now where gameplay isn't impressive anymore? Is it just a case of like they're acknowledging the fact that even with Cyberpunk, you've seen a first-person RPG before, right? So you don't need to see that again. Let's give you a tone piece instead. And with Gears, you've seen a good-looking Gears already with Gears of War 4. So you don't really need to see it. Let's try and convey how it feels rather than how it looks. What do you think, Cam?
I've personally never really been a massive fan of pre-rendered trailers a lot of the time. Like, I always want to see what the gameplay looks like firsthand, because then you won't be disappointed. You know, you won't be. You know, you can watch as much as you want, and you can say this game looks fantastic. But on release, if it's garbage, it's garbage. And you know, you were promised. You weren't promised a good game because it wasn't the actual graphics and it wasn't the gameplay you got from the trailer.
Sure,
you know, it was a pre-rendered trailer. But
I mean, my argument, Cam, is that have we got to the point now with these AAA games where you know it's going to be a good-looking game, you know it's going to look good and it's going to play well, so they don't feel the need to show that off. I mean, so because you know it's going to be what you want it to be. They're not going to be trying to pull the wool over your eyes because these big developers have achieved those kind of quality levels consistently, so they don't need to prove it anymore. Is that where we're at? I mean, how do you feel about it, Rich?
I suppose, especially because we're on the cusp of new hardware, what do they show? I mean, I suppose it's less relevant with, well, maybe it isn't. On the case of Gears 5, they can show what it's going to look like on Xbox One X, I guess, because that's what's available now. But I don't know. Will it look even better on Scarlet? Do they really want to show top end sort of effects and stuff that like that the game is going to pump out on the new hardware, or do they just, like you say, just leave it to the imagination, really, because you know that it's going to look good on the console that you've got? You don't have to worry about it so much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, this was definitely the approach at Xbox. I think we'll get to it soon, but there were other conferences and other briefings that were much more keen to lead with gameplay and to say, look, we're doing something interesting here. We're doing something different. This is it. You know, I'm not trying to trick you. You know, this game isn't out for a while, but this is what this game will be. You know, and my game of the show isn't at the Xbox conference. And I'll talk about it when we get there.
That's more of a problem when you don't know what the game is. I mean, if it's in a franchise like Gears, you know, they can show me the game. They cannot. I know what it's going to be like.
Well, the CD Projekt one.
There's a lot of trailers coming out for games that are new franchises, and they don't really tell you what the game is going to be like at all. So that is more problematic for me.
I'm wondering. I was wondering whether or not, because they've got such big games and all the Hollywood people coming out and stuff like that, whether or not it's just a way for the consoles to kind of go out with a bang until the new stuff comes in, you know? Or, you know, are they doing this now so everything looks amazing and this is it? These are the last kind of games coming to this console, and then the new stuff's going to come out later on that year, like an early release, or you know what I mean?
It blurs the boundaries, doesn't it? Because if they show the really top end stuff that you might get on new consoles, you'll get people with current gen stuff being disappointed when they finally get their hands on it. Or if they show the current gen performance, then they're underselling what that game might look like when it eventually comes out, I guess.
So let's talk about the one game we saw
Mm.
that was Project Scarlet. So let's talk about Halo Infinite. So we got a fairly long tone piece, I suppose, that was doing a lot to say things along the lines of, you know, your faith hasn't been misplaced. We know how to deal with Chief. We're taking it back to a lot of Halo CE inspired, you know, sound effects and visuals, and you know, we're gonna do this right. Honest, we know we promise we're gonna really give you what you want. And that was, you know, this long ass trailer which didn't do a lot to show off like big moments and exciting stuff, but did a lot to convey, yeah, the Master Chief's back. He's gonna kick ass.
As usual.
That's what this is going to be, and we still don't know what the fuck that game is. Like, you know, I think it's a Destiny style shared world shooter, but we'll see. That seems to be the common guess right now, but we still don't know. They're not saying what the game really is, but they are saying Master Chief's in it, Cortana's in it, and there's going to be a ring world that looks like Halo. So, I mean, what did you guys think from Halo Infinite? I mean, obviously, I'm a massive Halo fan. Richard's a big Halo fan for forever, because you can't not be if you're an Xbox guy. And they're launching a new Xbox with a new definitive Halo. And I mean, that's them coming out and putting their flag down firmly on this console release, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it marks it out from Xbox One X, doesn't it? I mean, we've sort of guessed between ourselves what the next generation might look like, whether it's going to be more iterative, and that's going to be the trend now, where they just come out every couple of years with something slightly better. But stamping it with a Halo release makes it feel like the old console releases back in the day, doesn't it? A definite milestone and a big moment. So yeah, it's exciting.
What did you think of the actual trailer? I mean, what did you take from the... I mean, it was like, it looked nice. The models looked good. The lighting was good. But it's like, if that's indicative of Scarlet, you know...
Is it Scarlet or is that CGI or what? I mean, it was...
I think, didn't it say in-engine? Did it say in-engine? I can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah, but then we'll get to it. But there's other examples where they say this is in-engine and actually it's not. That doesn't mean it's the game. I mean, we'll talk about Avengers later. That was all done in engine, but it's clearly not anything like gameplay.
Okay. Cam, you don't have a huge Halo affinity, do you? I won't bother you if you don't.
Well, I've played probably a couple of the games. I did. It was maybe for the multiplayer while people were playing it. You know, bit of 3D, a bit of ODST. But yeah, I grew up on the Sony spectrum. So I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I get it.
Mate, if you get Game Pass, they're all on there.
Yep.
Every one of them.
And Master Chief Collection will be on PC very soon as well.
Yeah.
So it might be a good time to actually, Cam, do it. Like, really, that could be cool. That'd be really fun.
You're killing me, man. You're killing me.
One of the things I want to talk about is one of the great things I loved. One thing I really loved about the Xbox conference was the amount of different types of games and how they would have, you'd have Cyberpunk 1 second and then Spiritfarer straight after. And it was like you go from Keanu Reeves really giving you an announce date for Cyberpunk, this huge moment, to this little beautifully animated 2D video game, you know, indie game about, you know, you're basically the what do they call it? The ferryman in heaven taking these spirits to their final resting place. And it's just beautiful. And that one really stood out to me as one of the indie games they showed actually at the conference, Spiritfarer. I thought it looked lovely and just sweet, and I really want to play it. I really want to play that game. Did that not stick out for either of you guys? I take it.
I didn't really like that one. I suppose, yeah, maybe it was the proximity to Cyberpunk
I love that. I love that you went from that AAA huge, loud, brash, violent, gory thing to this little beautiful, sweet looking, emotional game. I think that juxtaposition just really made it stick in my head.
I don't know. There were smaller indie projects that stood out to me in the conference. That wasn't one of them, I have to say.
Okay, well, what stood out to you?
Way to the Woods looked interesting. So that was
It reminded me of Tokyo Jungle.
Yeah.
That's what that reminded me of.
Yeah, so it looked like you control a deer headbutting vending machines in subways
with light up antlers.
That's something I haven't done in a game before, so I'm up for that.
Right, I want you guys to be honest with me now. How long into the Blair Witch reveal did you work out it was Blair Witch?
I had an inkling when the video camera stuff came up. I thought, is this like a Fatal Frame game? Oh no, maybe Blair Witch. And then when there's people standing in corners, I thought, yeah, Blair Witch.
Well, right by the end. So for me, the shaky camera was like, okay. As soon as they mentioned Black Hills and you saw the date, I was like, oh my God, this is a fucking Blair Witch game. I can't believe they're making a Blair Witch game in 2019. And it's made by the guys that did Layers of Fear and Observer. Oh shit, this is going to be good. And it's 25 quid and it's on Game Pass at launch. Fuck, I'm playing this.
Is it on Game Pass?
Yeah.
Fuck, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. Looking forward
to
that.
How cool is that? I was just like, fuck me, this is amazing. I mean, when you saw the totem and the standing in the corner, I was like, this is gonna be the shit yourself upside down the head scary.
Yeah,
like, oh my God.
Looks really good, actually.
What did you think of it, Cam? Yeah.
Blair Witch was kind of like one of my first scary films I ever really watched as a kid. And as far as the trailer goes, the whole shaky cam bit sort of thing was kind of cool. I kind of remind me of Outlast, the whole single cam look.
Yeah.
The first bit that kind of clued me into what might have been Blair Witch was the kind of the kind of flashes of red you get when it kind of cuts away, and I was sort of like, this seems slightly reminiscent of something I've seen before. What was it?
Yeah.
Looks freaky, and I do like something that'll, especially when you're kind of expanding the universe on what was, to be honest, very much of a cult hit. For something that was made very cheap. Yeah,
I mean, Blair Witch for me, right? So Blair Witch for me was a huge phenomenon. So I saw it when it came out in the cinema. And this was this transcendental cross-media thing for me at the time. So I don't know how much you know about it, Cam, but obviously it was the first time viral marketing was really used on the internet. So they were portraying it like it was real, like it was a documentary. So you into it, and you ended up going to see this film, and you knew it wasn't. But even then, they'd done it in a way in which it was so well orchestrated. They built the hype and the interest around, like you said, low budget, made for very little money, but they really used the internet properly for the first time ever. And when I went to see that film, I've never been more scared in the cinema in my fucking life to this day.
Because it looks so real, isn't it? It looks like, oh my God.
It looks real.
I watched that in the best way possible, right? I didn't used to do this at all. I used to buy all my stuff, but Blair Witch was the one exception where I got it on a pirated video, right? Someone at work, and they lent it to me on an unmarked cassette.
Have you seen this?
Yeah, exactly. It was like that. They just lent me this unmarked cassette, and it was fucking Blair Witch, the most terrifying video ever, because I didn't know anything about it either.
So that's pretty cool. That's a cool way. So I was deep in the knowledge of it, and you were the exact opposite. But because of how you came to it, it was just as freaky, if not more so. That's really cool. And Cam, you saw it as like, how old were you when you first saw it?
With the original film, or do you mean?
Yeah, the original, yeah.
I mean, that thing came out in, 99? So I was like 8. So...
Didn't sleep for 3 years.
Pretty much, yeah. No, I think when I've really started getting into watching the older horror film, well, my parents would let me, it was probably around 11 to 12. So I think that was one of the films, because it was such a cult hit and a lot of people obviously raved about it.
It's a fucking classic, yeah.
So it was the sort of thing that's like, well, that was supposed to be a good film. I should probably watch that. And yeah, quite literally. Yeah, right on the sofa. Couldn't do it.
And it's weird because if you deconstruct it, and I know, so I've got some friends who are horror fans, and they think it's a pile of shit because if you actually deconstruct it and if you understand the genre and you're a big into, it's not. If you break it down, it's not really scary, is it? Because you don't really see anything and not much happens. But for someone with a fertile imagination and you just get carried away into it, it's like, oh my god, like it's more terrifying than anything I've ever seen.
I don't buy that. The scariest films, you don't see anything.
Some people, I mean,
Original Alien's the best because you don't see anything.
I've spoken to a lot of people about this film. So talking about other scary games, what did you guys think about Dying Light 2 showing? Because I really like Dying Light, but I'm feeling really like whatever about this sequel.
With Dying Light, as we speak, I am about 75% through the campaign for the first time.
Wow, cool. Yeah, it's a good game.
Yeah, my friend bought it for me. I was just like, I owe you a game. Here, play this. I was like, all right. And yeah, I'm loving it. I haven't really played too many first-person parkour simulators.
There aren't many of them.
It's really clever in that
game. Yeah, it's really well done.
The idea that you're an infected in this new world as it's, I'm assuming, kind of spread. It wasn't quite as gripping as it was like kind of confusing as like at what point of infection is he? Not the genuine confusion, but like there's kind of way you can stipulate and go like, how far along is he with this infection? Is he too far gone? Or...
All I can tell you, Dying Light 2 is set 15 years after the first one. And there's a huge emphasis on choice and your choices and how they impact the city you're in. Like, as you kind of get from the trailer, when one half of the city's on fire and the other one seems to be full of happy people farming. And you're like, well, what was the good choice, I wonder? Heavy-handed motherfucking trailer are you? But it's like, I just wanted to know if I need a sequel.
I wanted to know more. That's what it was.
Yeah,
I wanted to know more before I could make a decision.
Maybe I'm going to go back and play some more of one. I did quite play a lot of it, and I got the expansion, but I never actually played any of the expansion in one, which is outside of the city. I know you played a lot.
I played a good chunk of it. Yeah, I didn't get through it, so it didn't keep me gripped as much as the campaign did. I did play that through to completion, but yeah, it's all still good. I don't know. I just feel like I'm not sure if I want any more, I suppose, is the thing.
Yeah.
The DLC was fine. I just didn't want to play any more of it because there is a lot in that game. It's quite long, actually.
Yeah.
I've been playing it a couple of hours for probably about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But I'm one of those. I get a side mission and it's like, oh well, looks like I gotta complete this side mission before progressing the story. Oh no, another side mission. What will I do?
It's the same. It keeps you busy. I just wonder if you'll lose the sense of jeopardy in the new one, because that was one of the things that stuck with me in the original game, was that you're not infected, obviously. The threat from zombies coming out at nighttime, absolutely terrifying. And you'd always be trying to plan ahead and think, right, that's where the sun is. I need to know where I'm going pretty soon. And there was just a pervasive sense of dread all the time in that, thinking, what time of day is it? Am I safe? I don't know. Will it have that same sort of tension in the sequel if you're already infected?
You're in a zombie apocalypse. The short answer is no, you're never safe.
No.
So, in another swerve from big Techland Dying Light sort of thing to, what do you guys think of that little trailer for 12 minutes? The top-down loop game. How cool did that look?
Yeah, that was another one where my wife commented on it, and she doesn't typically. She's not massively into games, so if something stands out to her, then it's a big deal, and that did. That looks really interesting. I thought the choice to make it top-down as a sort of narrative thriller, but top-down visuals. Which are typically not that detailed and not easy to get across character and narrative in that sort of format. I thought it did a really good job. It looks really interesting. It looks really well produced. I liked the visuals, even though it perhaps doesn't make the most of them from that viewpoint. but more than anything, just the story of it, that it plays out over the same 12 minutes, and you're sort of trying to change history, I guess, and trying to work out what the best way is to avoid destiny. That sounds like a really interesting game that I want to try out.
One of the things I really liked about that trailer is it didn't beat around the bush with making you understand the concept. So immediately he's like, she's giving it, showing him the parcel, and he's like, I know what it is. You got the baby clothes. You're pregnant. Blah, fucking hell. And it's like you already get this sense that the poor fucker has lived through this already a whole bunch, and he's just done.
Yeah,
he's just done with the whole thing.
It's pretty much around the 72nd minute of Groundhog Day.
Yes,
like,
yes, where he's just jumping in front of cars because he doesn't want to live anymore. Yeah, yeah.
I just wonder how much control you've got over it, because that trailer was quite heavily scripted. How much can you really get out of it if it's a really narrated thriller rather than a gameplay experience where you're testing mechanics and seeing what you can repeat, what you can change, like Majora's Mask sort of experience. I don't know.
It's curious though.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
Again, Game Pass, I believe. That one said Game Pass. I want to say it's a Game Pass.
If you ask me to get Game Pass one more time, I will reach through the monitor and strangle you.
I'm not telling you to get Game Pass. Xbox is telling you to get Game Pass because it knows what's best for you, Cameron. It knows. So just hey, no, I will tell you one I do know is on Game Pass, and it looks freaking amazing. And that's Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's going to use the power of Azure and satellites to give you a real world to flip and fly around. Like, wow.
Oh,
how cool did that look?
Looked incredible. I don't know how it's going to work on Xbox, because this is typically one for the proper nerds, isn't it, on PC, where you get a full aircraft controller setup with
HOTAS with a yoke and stuff. Yeah.
So
track IR, so you know where your head moves, the camera looks, all of that.
Yeah, but it looks incredible. Another one that my wife wants to play. I'd love to see her try it.
It just looked like if the cities and if the world really genuinely looks like that, and you can really go anywhere, is what it's implying.
I'm flying past my house.
I'm landing on my street. I'm putting that Cessna down right between the trees. You're not gonna stop me. I don't know how that works. If that's some kind of black magic, because it could well be.
That neighbor you just don't like.
It's like a Black Mirror episode, but all along it was real.
Oh no.
So Richard, tell me why I should care about Elden Ring, because I don't give a crap about George R.R. Martin at this point, or Dark Souls. So that trailer looks like as Dark Souls and Japanesey as all crap, and I just didn't give a shit.
Okay. Well,
Ben, do you want to leave and me and Richard talk?
Yeah, you go.
We're interested.
You just start making out. You just start kissing. Do it.
Doesn't sound like I'm going to turn you around on that, Ben. You don't like Dark Souls
Try
or Game of Thrones, okay?
I did like Game of Thrones, and then I watched the final season. So yeah.
Oh, are you one of those idiots that are just trying to be cool and disliking it? It's good, man.
Yeah,
no, it was alright.
I enjoyed it.
It was alright.
Definitely.
It's the Dark Souls bit.
Could have done with 6 more episodes, but yes, the Dark Souls stuff.
Yeah, but Elden Ring, I don't know. We didn't see anything, did we?
What was that?
Yeah. As is typical for From Software announcements.
Pretty much, yeah.
They look pretty cool and sort of sonorous music, dark visuals that look imposing, but without really telling you what they represent.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just kind of holding judgment until I see something, but knowing From Software, it's going to be damn good, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, not just from Software, but like George R. R. Martin's writing. His writing's always been really good, and he's always made a point of fleshing out great characters and having a really good long backstory. So from a lore standard of the game, I can see it being quite expansive, and I love reading about that sort of stuff. And Dark Souls, like an entire trilogy, and including admittedly kind of they were a sole successor of like Demon Souls. The entire thing is lore. Like they don't tell you anything on a plate. You know, you have to go out there and find out what and why this is there. That's what That's what I've always loved about the From Software games.
Yeah,
God, sounds like too much effort to me, but anyway.
No, it's good. It's good because you engage with what you want to. I've never got deep into the lore of any of their games, but you know it's there if you want it, and it's all about discovering what the story is behind events, and you know, finding a corpse or an item down an alley and think, oh God, that relates to that girl that was missing earlier on. Like I think that happens in Bloodborne. You find a ribbon and you think, oh shit.
Whoops. I verbally said that the first time and I was just like, oh.
Yeah, that's where that's from. And it's done really cleverly and understatedly. I don't know what George Martin is going to bring to this, because if they are paying him to write all the narrative and the lore of this, I don't know. Maybe they want to get their money's worth, and they're going to get the balance wrong. Is my fear.
Nah, they paid him for an outline. He's given them a concept, and then they can use his name to market it, and that's enough.
Maybe you're right.
Come on, he's not writing it. The man can't finish his fucking books, let alone find time to write fucking video game shit. There's no way.
I don't know why, but as soon as I saw it written down, that new game being announced, George R. R. Martin, I knew you were going to bring that up for some reason.
The last trailer I want to mention, because it's curious, is this Crossfire X, which is like this. Basically, the game Crossfire is the sort of Counter-Strike equivalent in Korea, South Korea, I should stress, before Cameron makes a joke about North Korea, because I know that's coming. And it's super popular in that part of the world, so various Asian territories, and it's never made it to the West. And I guess the big deal is that Microsoft has got, you know, kind of an exclusive deal with these developers to bring this console version, which adds the X for Xbox, I guess, to the West. And that's a big thing, I guess, because it's super popular in a territory none of us have much experience with. And it's a multiplayer focused shooter. Yeah.
They didn't really show the game, did they? It's just all CG.
I believe the single player that's going to be in X is being worked on by Remedy.
Really?
But I wouldn't mind my facts being checked on that. But I do believe this is what I heard. This is one of the things that they are working on besides Control, which has showed really well at the show and people are really, really into, and that's making me super, 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 super excited for that game, which only comes out in like a few weeks' time, basically. Yes, if somebody wants to check that for me, I would appreciate it. But I know it's someone big working on the single player aspect of X to bring a story to it, because in Korea it's just like Counter-Strike. It's a multiplayer first-person shooter, I believe. It's first person. But yeah, I guess, and in other news from that territory, that kind of the East, the other big announcement is Phantasy Star Online. Is it Online 2?
Yeah, it's Phantasy Star Online 2. So
it's being brought to Xbox, it's being brought to console and brought to the West. Yeah, that's a big deal.
That is amazing news for me. It's one of the most exciting news items to come out of E3, because I absolutely loved Phantasy Star. I played for a good 3 years Phantasy Star Universe, even though everyone hated it. I stuck by that for absolutely ages and loved it. So yeah, I was waiting for Phantasy Star Online 2 to come out. It was originally came out 2013, I think. So it's been a long time coming since they released it in Japan. I remember seeing it when the Vita was announced, and they said, right, Phantasy Star Online 2 is coming to Vita. I bought a Vita thinking I'm going to be playing Phantasy Star on this, and that console's been and gone in the time the games come out. So yeah, I'm excited for it, although cautiously, because it's still not confirmed for Europe. It's a USA only announcement so far.
Oh, I'm sure it'll come. I'm sure it'll come. Maybe a bit later, because you're talking about server infrastructure and things like that being rolled out. But I've just checked. Crossfire X is indeed single player, is indeed Remedy.
Yeah.
So that should make you more interested, Rich, because we're big Remedy fans, aren't we?
Yeah, I love them.
So So we briefly mentioned Control. It wasn't at Xbox, but it wasn't at any of them. But it's being shown on the show floor, perhaps behind closed doors to press. And everybody, and I mean everybody who I follow in the games media who's had hands on, is only raving about this game. Like about how well it plays, how Lynchian, that's been used a few times, which is exciting. The setting is, and how otherworldly it is. And it sounds absolutely brilliant. So I'm really, that's like August, isn't it? End of August, Control.
Yeah. So it
bring that
sounds
on.
It's going back more towards the vibe of Alan Wake, because Quantum Break, I enjoyed.
Quantum Break's great. I really like Quantum Break.
It was more palatable, wasn't it? You could tell it was served up to be more palatable for
a mainstream hit.
Yeah.
That was on the failing console at the time, which did not help sell units. So that was not the right choice there. No. Unfortunate. Anything either of you guys want to bring up from Xbox before we move on to Bethesda?
Lego Star Wars, yay!
Oh, the complete saga.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Yes. Are they waiting until obviously episode 9's come out?
It'll
presuming
be around then. Yeah.
Good, because I loved all of them. I love my Lego games. I know I like to give you the air that I'm the real hardcore gamer, but I love my Lego games.
Sure, if you say so, Cam. Hardcore gamer.
I'm delighted to hear that. So please get an Xbox, and you can
so we can give you the code to review it. Yeah, because we don't want to do Lego anymore.
What?
So, Richard was the Lego editor for quite a while at BXB. He covered all the Lego games, purely because I hate him, really.
It got to the point where I was so pissed off with them copying and pasting Lego games that I was copying and pasting my reviews and being like totally open about that fact in the review. So
I've the same. Thanks. Yeah. No, man. If you think like I'm happy about Lego Ben. You remember Dave? I mean, he spent a good portion of his Christmas Eve just building a Lego Death Star. Okay.
Well, no, playing with the physical Lego toys, I mean, is maybe more interesting. I mean, I was quite bummed out, Rich, when they said the next expansion for flipping Forza Horizon is Lego, and I just started playing it, and it's fine, but at the same time, I don't care about it being in this game. It's a bit weird though when you're driving. You're like, I've got like a really nice Ford Mustang, and I'm just driving that around, smashing up Lego World, which is quite bizarre.
I think that looks cool.
You should play it, man. It's out.
Yeah, I've not got a beef with Lego per se. I think Lego's great, but it's just those Lego games.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Traveler's Tales specifically have a formula they like to stick to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to move on to Bethesda. I'm going to draw a line because there's some interesting stuff at Bethesda. Beyond the trailers, it opens with Tom Howard's attempt. Is it Tom Howard? Todd Howard. Thank you. I didn't sound right, and I was like, it's Todd Howard. His attempt at a kind of half-assed apology about Fallout 76. That wasn't really an apology, but it was also like, yeah, we had a lot of criticism, but we also have the biggest amount of players any Bethesda game's ever had. So, no. So I wasn't really sure how to take that, but it is what it is, I guess.
I think it was a cheeky stab at themselves. It did hit, like yourself, it did hit kind of off the cuff at a certain point, but I think he's got enough. He is right. He's got a lot of bloody players playing the damn game, so it can't be failing that badly if people are still playing it.
Yeah, I mean, and they've just brought out a fucking Battle Royale mode, which I'm kind of curious to try out. I'm almost willing to reinstall that game to try that, but probably not. Just not quite enough.
Yeah,
but
it's
maybe
not enough, Todd. Come on.
I also thought when they go, we're finally, then we're not. No, they didn't say finally. Or we're going to bring human NPCs into the game. And I thought to myself, a year ago when you brought this game out, that was not on your fucking roadmap. You fucking pricks. And you could admit the fact that you're doing this because players were up in arms that there were no human NPCs in your game. Like, come on.
What do you mean?
There are no human NPCs in Fallout 76. It's just monsters and zombie things that there are no quest givers that are alive that are humans in that entire game.
How do you do the quests then?
You get quests from notes and diary entries and audio tapes.
Nothing to buy or from local stores.
No, there's robots. that you can buy things from, but there's literally not a single alive human NPC in the entirety of Fallout 76 until this content update drops.
That's
Yep.
weird. That's weird.
Yep.
That's
One of the strange
weird.
choices they made.
I can't say anything else. That's just weird.
Yep. No,
I mean-
totally. And I can't. Do you think I can't believe they had it planned, because that's bull. I don't believe it. So like, oh yeah, the first year we wanted you to recolonize the wasteland with your players, and then we were going to bring people back into the wasteland. That was like the plan all along. I don't
Shut
fucking
up.
believe
No,
you.
it
I don't
wasn't.
fucking believe you. What do you think, Rich?
I've not watched anything about Fallout 76, so I'm really not interested in what they're changing in it.
Fair enough.
I played a hell of a lot of Fallout 3. Didn't bother with Fallout 4.
Four's all right.
Franchise is pretty much dead to me.
Okay. Well, what we will move on to is something I was quite excited to see, which is the new game from Tango Gameworks, the guys behind Evil Within. And it's not as conventional a kind of survival horror game as we've had from them before. It's a big departure. And to be honest, this is one of the games, like, how you were judging your wife's reaction, Richard.
Yeah.
This is one where my wife was like really interested in it, thought it looked really interesting, and which is Ghostwire Tokyo. Did you guys watch the trailer for Ghostwire?
Ghostwire?
Ghostwire.
No, I haven't seen this. Hang on, I better look
Oh.
it
I
up.
haven't seen nothing like that on the notes either. Did you just miss
mate,
it out?
No, I'm just looking up a roundup post, but maybe I missed it from the notes. That's on me.
It's not in the notes.
Oh well, tough shit. Ghostwire Tokyo, however, looks really good. It looks really interesting and different, and it looks like Tango Gameworks are stepping out from their slightly more comfortable wheelhouse and doing something a little bit more actiony and maybe a little bit more cyberpunky, but bringing in lots of kind of Japanese mythos horror elements, like things that you might recognize from like The Ring and sort of the demonic kind of but very Japanese look to it, because it's all set in Tokyo. So, and you seem to play a sort of like a badass archer assassin dude or chick or something, I don't know, but yeah, look pretty cool.
And that was called what, sorry?
Ghostwire Tokyo.
Ghostwire Tokyo. I'm going to have to look into that, and we might pop back into it a little bit later.
I love it. So I'll just talk to myself while you guys watch trailers. The second kind of announcement we got, which is from the guys behind the Dishonored stuff, which is Arcane, is Deathloop. Another game focusing on a time loop situation.
Yeah, that
I
is
think
quite
is interesting.
interesting.
And that's starring like a male and female assassin that seem to be focused on assassinating each other. And obviously, like in the Dishonored games, you'll be able to pick one or the other to play at the beginning of the game, and then that's where the story will focus, and then you can of course play the game again from the other person's perspective. And I thought that looked quite good. I mean, we didn't get a real idea of what the gameplay is, but if you know Arcane, it's going to be lots of powers and jumping around and teleportation and things like that, and then some pretty solid shooter mechanics as well. If you've played Dishonored, you have an idea of what that is. What did you think of that one, Cam? Because you've seen that one then.
I do like the kind of temporal genre, like time travel and stuff like that. I do like those sort of things. So like reliving a loop and like being able to do it a little bit differently has always been kind of an interesting story for me. At least a story concept. So yeah, the whole idea that depending what the end game is, of because if you're just going to kill them and they wake up again and time restarts again, in the end, are you going to work to get out of it, or is it the idea just that they need to die and then stop the time loop because that's your job?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I
like the mystery behind the trailer. Yeah. That's what I'm liking.
So it looked like a cool world as well, didn't it? Like a really interesting setting. This sort of like island that looks a bit odd and weird, and there's some sciencey vibe to it, and it's like, ooh, we don't really know what's going on, but we'll be exploring it more. And I'm assuming that there's still a lot for them to show in that. I don't believe we got any dates for Ghostwire or Deathloop at this point, but I get the impression they're not like miles away. They're probably going to be next year at some point. So I've already mentioned Fallout. Elder Scrolls Blades. I mean,
I've played it.
It's coming to Switch.
Yeah, I know. I've played it on the Android, and my friend had it on iPhone, and it's okay, I guess. I mean, hopefully there's a better way to play on the Switch with actual like controls, but it's Yeah, I mean, the fact that they just didn't announce Elder Scrolls 6 is just kind of, the annoying part. As much as like the whole Elsewhere and including dragons on Elder Scrolls Online, which I do still play occasionally, I was quite happy with that. But it's just Blades, man. I want a full game again.
They're making it. They're making it. Supposedly, that's coming, and that'll be next gen, I suspect now. But and then we got to see. We got to see the abomination that was whatever they've decided to do to Commander Flipping Keen, which was upsetting to me. That is not Commander Keen, and it will never be my Commander Keen. I didn't hate the animated sort of cartoon stuff, but then when you actually saw what the game was, it was like, oh, this is just a crap phone game. Why are you making me see this? This is wrong. This is wrong. And then we got a few bits as well about Rage getting some DLC and stuff, but who cares? That game's out already. But I guess what we really need to talk about. I mean, Richard, have you looked up Ghostwire yet? Just out of interest, because I know you're a Tango Gameworks fan. So,
I've tried. The trailer doesn't really look like a video game, so I'm still none the wiser.
Yeah, no
Is it all
gameplay.
like live action. Or...
It's not live action. No, it's incredibly good CGI.
Yeah, it was.
Like insanely good CGI. I actually thought that as well when they started rolling it at the show. I was looking at it going, especially the crowd scenes, and you're like, are those real people? No, they're just CGI. That's CGI. It's insanely good.
It's so good, you wonder why they bothered. It would have been cheaper.
I just go and film some people
over the roof
on the tube. Yeah, nobody would know the difference. So it's like whatever. Put a bit of Vaseline on them. Easy. Give them that CGI sheen.
It did look a bit, it did look a bit. It looked interesting. I mean, like the whole disappearances around Tokyo, and you kind of not the lone survivor, as a survivor with your own kind of abilities to decipher the truth, and then there's kind of weird creatures popping up. It looks until more comes out. I can't say.
It looked really distinctly Japanese, which I liked, like the setting and the 4 types of creatures and their powers. Like that's something I've always liked about the Tango Gameworks. Even within games, while they're trying to be kind of like Western, they still feel very much like Japanese survival horror games. And
Silent Hill sort of things.
Yeah, or Resident Evil and stuff. Because I believe the guy worked on Resi, didn't he? Shinji Mikami. He was a Resi guy, wasn't he, Rich?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for the confirmation. But then we had the big game. The game that I know I'm going to love, that might well be my game of the year, which is Doom Eternal, which the trailer looked a lot like Doom 2016, which I'm fine with. And the gameplay and all that looked Doom 2016. But when I've heard reports of people playing it, like they can't rave about it enough, about how the mobility feels, how aggressive it is, how it's all about this. They've added elements to the combat puzzle where it's like, you know how in 2016, if you chainsaw the guy, you get ammo. If you glory killed someone, you get armor. They've now added another element, which is to do with, I can't remember exactly what it was now, but you get like shield recharge of someone else. So it's kind of like you're chaining together all these different forms of attacks to just always be moving forward and always be killing and ripping and tearing. I can't wait to play this game. I am so excited about it.
It's supposed to be something about you can change the way the combat happens by eliminating certain advantages the enemies might have, but like destroying their mounted gun sort of thing. They'll have to come up to you with melee attacks instead, a little bit.
Okay, that's cool. So there's like strategy and thought you can put into the combat encounters and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm just going to hit people with my fists and shoot them in the face with rockets is my plan mostly.
Pretty much what you're doing, Doom. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, as much as strategy, can you really have strategy in a Doom game? All I do is run around and shotgun them in the face.
I think it's a case of
I think you do need strategy.
Yeah, it's getting to know your arsenal is important.
It's most basic. It's staying mobile and just trying to chain stuff together, isn't it? It's almost like a first person Hotline Miami in a way.
So killing puzzle.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I
It's
mean,
a symphony of monster murder.
we got November 22nd for it as well, so it's another November game. And I'm that month is going to be very much game focused and very expensive. But I don't care because it looks great.
Beyond the
Christmas
combat,
is supposed to be a time for sharing, but I'm buying everything for myself.
Yep, nobody's getting presents this year.
Yeah.
Suck it up.
Sorry, Dexter. Daddy's bought himself 5 new games and an Xbox controller.
Well, he can grow into it. Don't worry about it. He can grow into it. Don't worry.
You could just get Game Pass, mate. But
Yeah, just get Game
Pass. Shut up.
beyond the sort of combat, because that was good anyway in 2016. It sounds as if there's going to be a broader scope of environment, so you can go to heaven and stuff in this. So that sounds interesting.
Yeah,
I just hope there's more of a single player campaign feel. I still haven't finished Doom 2016.
Ah, Richard,
I like it, but it does feel like, I suppose deliberately, it feels like distinct levels, like the original Doom game. It doesn't feel like there's a through path, like you're moving through a discernible narrative or anything. It's just right. Here's the bit where you're in hell. There's
a surprisingly good narrative actually in Doom 2016.
Right.
Like where they contextualize you as the Doom Slayer and how you're not human. You're basically an avenging angel sent to fucking destroy Hell's minions. It's brilliant. And it's like you've been around for a long time as well doing that.
That's not told through the environment, though, is my problem with it.
It is. It is. You just didn't get there. It is. It is. I swear. I swear.
I might not be there yet, but it doesn't feel like it in the first few missions.
Did you even get to Mars? Like, did you get to Hell?
Yeah. I was going to say, you start on Mars, don't you?
Yeah, sorry, I meant did you get to Hell? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to Hell.
Did you get to Hell the second time?
No.
No, okay.
I've missed.
Did you go to Hell, come back and go back again?
Yeah, that happens a lot. No, I've missed the middle part of the entire game, funnily enough. So I played it for a good long time and enjoyed it. I got busy doing other games and other stuff like that. Then my friend was having a lot of trouble trying to finish this one big boss because he was playing on hard mode. So I went down his and did like the last couple of missions for him to shut him up because he thought it was too hard and he didn't want to put it on easy. So I finished the game, but then I'm missing out like a good 40% of the middle part of the game.
I can't believe you two. It's honestly one of the best games of this generation. You both should finish it. Like, this is shocking. This is shocking. Right. One thing I'm just going to touch upon as well is Orion. Which I can only describe as game streaming middleware. So basically, Bethesda has developed this technology to improve streaming, which can be integrated into games, which can improve things like latency massively by 40%, can reduce the amount of data transfer that's required to make a game streamable, i.e. bring your data usage down, which will help people with caps. But this is sort of a thing that you can see Stadia and xCloud and those guys buying from Bethesda to use on their services, and also sort of different developers and publishers buying. It was a weird thing to get at an E3 show in 2019. It felt like something that should be at a GDC. It's
really not consumer focused at all.
No. And the guy up there, the lead programmer guy, looked so scared that I actually felt bad that he was even been invited. I was like, this dude doesn't want to be there. He looked utterly petrified. So I thought it was weird. Yeah, it was a bit of a strange thing to add, but interesting tech, which, streaming is going to be a big thing in the future in the next year or so. So, I've signed up. They're going to be doing a test they're going to be, streaming Doom 2016 to various mobiles. And I've signed up to try and beta test that for them and help that with them, because I'm really curious to see how that works. Like, can I play Doom 2016 streamed onto my phone with no noticeable latency? Like, that will be a hell of a test for a game as quick as that and as focused on frames as Doom is. That brings us to the end of Bethesda. Anything you guys wanted to bring up? I thought it was a pretty good showing. I was definitely interested in the new stuff from Arcane and Tango Gameworks. Very excited about Doom Eternal, even if it was kind of what I expected to see. Yeah.
Can't wait to see those human NPCs.
They're going to be great. Now we get on to the conference that had my game of the show at. and that is Ubisoft. And they opened with like 15 minutes of Watch Dogs Legion, and I am so freaking excited to play Watch Dogs Legion. I am a sucker, as you guys may or may not know, for Ubisoft open world games. I absolutely love them. For the most part, I'm a massive AC fan, a massive Watch Dogs 2 fan. Loved Odyssey and Origins. I've loved all the Assassin's Creed games, basically, even the bad ones. And Watch Dogs Legion is doing something incredibly ambitious that I'm still trying to get my head around how it even works. And it's this big open world. It's going to be set in London. It's set in a post-apocalyptic, post-Brexit world, which looks like shit.
This is what got me interested. You know, when I heard that it's about London post Brexit, I thought, I mean,
did you watch?
Not that fussed about Watch Dogs normally.
Did you just watch the trailer, or did you watch that part of the conference? Their conference. Their you know, what did you do? Because I'd be curious.
I've watched bits of trailers in and out, and
okay, because they contextualized it really well at their presser, because the guy comes out on stage and he's like, because I watched they showed the footage. That's how they opened their press conference. And first of all, it felt a bit close to home. It's like very bleak. Obviously, at the end of the day, at the end of the game, if you finish it, you'll liberate London, if you like. However, it still felt bleak. And then he came out and he actually talked about why they chose London, why they chose this setting. And he talks about how Londoners are resilient, they're multicultural. You know, there are these people that won't fucking give up, that won't, you know, be weakened by terrorism, that won't give up to authoritarianism, that would never allow this to happen in their city, which is why they thought it was the perfect place to do this type of story. And I was like, do you know what, mate? That's a really fucking positive way of looking at this. And I really appreciated the way he contextualized it. And I was like, yeah, I can absolutely see where you're coming from. Also, it's going to be really good fun. And the big crux of this, the reason it's called Legion, is that you can be anyone.
Yeah.
And they're all voiced, and they all have intro story missions, and they all have different pros and cons and weaknesses and strengths. And you have to basically create a resistance of people to fight against this authoritarian regime, Albion, that has taken over London with surveillance and drones and paramilitary types. And you can recruit any NPC you see in the entire world. I still can't quite work out how that's going to work. That's incredible. Like, what did you guys think of this?
I think it's bold. It gets around the problem that Ubisoft aren't very good at lead characters, because they don't have to have one now. It's interesting. Yeah, I'd like to see how it works. I am psyched to go around London, though. I mean, just for the exploration side of it, just being able to walk around London and see familiar sites and play in that environment is going to be brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, they did it with Syndicate, didn't they? But obviously that was oldie London. This is going to be a London we're going to recognize, and it's going to be like a lot more. It's going to be really cool. Yeah.
I'm keen to see how much they play with the political aspect, because they do have a track record of backing away from that stuff.
Yeah,
having talked about it early on, in a bunch of different games. So Far Cry 5 was the last one, wasn't it, where it was supposed to be an anti-Trump allegory. Stripped all of that out. I haven't played the game, but apparently all that's gone from the final release. So we'll see. I'm not convinced there's going to be much overt Brexit.
I don't know
in this, but
you have to wonder: is this them listening? Is this them listening to, you know, the pushback against their apolitical stance, and actually realizing in a world like today, you can't keep doing that?
I hope so, because I don't know. Is it internationally relevant, I wonder?
Yeah, Brexit's definitely being looked at internationally. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, maybe
it gets brought up a lot. So I don't know. I'm very curious. It's March next year, I want to say, or February next year. I've pre-ordered my copy already. I am well excited.
Well, the other aspect is Brexit may or may not have happened by then. So
yeah. If it has happened, it's going to be really fucking weird to play.
Yeah.
So
why am I playing my life?
I'm glad I don't live in London right now, but it won't be long before this is like this in Cambridge. So yeah, gonna really suck. Yeah. Did you watch this, Cam?
The Watch Dogs, or you talk about Brexit in general?
Watch Dogs. We won't talk about Brexit in general on this podcast.
So hard to keep up nowadays. What's going on? Honestly, no, I did see it, and yeah, kind of building up a whole resistance thing. It's it seems like it's kind of a lot more in-depth version of what Assassin's Creed like Brotherhood used to be. You know, you'd save someone, bring them onto the crew, send them off to side missions. But obviously now you're taking control of everyone their own side missions. You know, so yeah, I'm on board. Even though I haven't actually played either of the Watch Dogs, I will accept your screams of the.
You won't need to.
Oh, thank God.
You won't need to. It's not related. They're not going to be story connected, I don't think.
I played a brief bit of the first game with I think it's a bit of share play with a friend or something like that, and it was interesting. It was
the second game's really good.
That was in San Francisco, wasn't it? That one.
Yeah. I really like the second one a lot.
I do like games that have an extensive map that is very realistic as well. Like you can say, yeah, this is London sort of thing, and you have like Big Ben and another landmark, and then they go, well, that's not London, is it? But they've kind of mapped it out very almost authentically. I like it. Yeah.
San Francisco was very well done from what I've heard, so I suspect they'll do something similar with London. Yeah.
It's I've always been a big fan of Ubisoft as well. The Assassin's Creed series have always been really good, and I've really enjoyed them. And I did get a little bit annoyed after Syndicate. Really, it was I kind of fell out of love a little bit with Assassin's Creed because I wasn't too keen on the not the RPG style of where they went, because it is. But it's the combat that I kind of fell out with, where the whole leveling up and doing damage sort of thing. I wasn't too keen on that, because I love being an assassin where I can jump on someone and they die in one hit because I stabbed them in the head. But now it's like I jump on this guy who's now 5 levels higher and I've only done a bit of damage. I'm like, I'm pretty sure a knife in the head is still a knife in the head.
Yeah, okay. No, I can understand that. I think Odyssey is the best one they've done yet, personally, but everyone is different. But that's not what we're here to discuss. We're here to carry on with the Ubisoft conference. So they showed, they've announced as well their own fucking subscription service, which is $15 or whatever it is a month on PC. It looks to me like, it's PC only, and it looks to me like it's every Ubisoft game literally ever made, like, is on this subscription. And then for that price, every new one that comes out is also included. So that's pretty cool, I suppose, that they're saying straight away, we're going to include new stuff with that. But
is it really worth it, though? I mean,
there's a lot. You'd be surprised what games Ubisoft has. I've been using Uplay more recently, their storefront, and you look through it and you're like, oh yeah, they've got Settlers, for example. That's all of them. And there's a lot of,
they've got a lot of games, but if you think about what they've released in the past few years, it's mostly, I suppose you'd call it dispensable titles like the Assassin's Creed series, which have been coming out every year, and then not too far into that year, you can get them for virtually nothing. So you could probably buy all of the Assassin's Creed games for less than 40 quid, barring Odyssey. Anything before that, you can buy the lot for like £1 each. A lot of them, couldn't you?
I guess, yeah.
And the stuff that isn't cheaper is probably worth paying for anyway, because it's like massively well supported. So they're starting to move into a position now where they're supporting the same few games and bringing out less. So stuff like Division 2 is going to have real legs to it, and they've done the same. They've tried to do the same for Honor, and all of their games now seem to be persistent experiences. So to bring out a subscription service where, granted, like the really old stuff, it'd be a nice curio to try out for a month and play the old games. But the more recent history, which are cheap enough anyway, and the newer stuff, which are persistent, and you would probably want to buy outright rather than pay a subscription for the same games every month. Don't know. I can't see the market for it myself, but we'll see.
Well, they've kind of, I guess there's no harm in them doing it, is there? It's kind of like they've got the storefront. It's probably not that much work to build in a subscription model into it.
Yeah.
So I suspect it was kind of like, well, EA do it, Xbox is doing it,
Yeah, but if
You
you
might as well
compare
give it a go.
if you compare it to Game Pass, I mean, like you will have found, you said you've been achievement hunting on a lot of the Game Pass games. You can do that because some of them are purposely chosen within the library to be shorter experiences that maybe you wouldn't necessarily spend the money on to buy them, but you're very glad to be able to play them in a subscription model because they might, you'll enjoy them while they last, but they might only last 3 or 4 hours. Ubisoft don't have that sort of back catalogue where that's going to be part of the offer. I wouldn't have thought.
We also got a reveal of the guys who developed Odyssey. They're actually taking a year off this year from Assassin's Creed, so I think they've been doing some other stuff as well as supporting that with DLC, a lot of DLC. We've got Gods and Monsters, which looks like an interesting kind of action adventure type game with a bit of a Breath of the Wild about it in its art style. We know it's to do with fighting mythological creatures. We know you're sort of like a god yourself, a demigod of some type, that you are sent down to fight these creatures. Obviously, it's got that Greek influence because I guess the guys came off of Odyssey, but a very different art style to Assassin's Creed games. Looked nice, but we didn't really get an idea of what the game was, did we? But
it looked
interesting.
It reminded me of Rime. So the initial reveal is of environmental shots, and it all looks very, very pretty and quite painterly in a way. It looks like an animated painting, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it reminds me of like a Greek Zelda Breath of the not Breath of the Wind Waker, the kind of cartoony style,
Yeah, but then you see the characters, and the character design I'm not convinced is really fitting the environment, or it's not very appealing to me, at least. It just feels a bit anodyne and safe. And that was the same feeling I had in Rime, incidentally. Like the world looked really interesting and bright, but the character models just looked like they'd been lifted from, I don't know, some sort of model maker somewhere.
We also got a roller derby video game, which was a weird one because the thing that stood out to me about this was the guy presenting it seemed very, very, very into it, like to a frightening degree, like had drunk way too much of the Kool-Aid that he'd been given this chance to come out and demo this game. It's like, this is the greatest game you'll ever play. And it's like, dude, it's like you want some of the Rocket League money, don't you? I mean, that's what Roller Champions look like. It's another take on, an accessible, multiplayer focused, quick speed based, put ball in net game. Happens to be on rollerblades and with checking each other and stuff like that with customizable characters. They've got a beta, I think, of some kind, or an alpha running at the moment, which you can sign up for on PC. It looked fine.
Dude likes his roller derby. That's all I can say.
He really, really does, like a lot.
I like roller derby, but I wish there was like a hyper-violent rollerball like license
version of that.
That would be cool.
Yeah, with like motorcycles and punching people in the face with studded gloves.
Yeah, that would be
straight
fantastic.
Up. Yeah, that's a great movie. God, I love that movie. We got a catch up on Rainbow Six, didn't we? That this game is still going on. We've got new characters for it. Holy shit, does it look old now? Like Rainbow Six looks really old and looking worse every year. However, they've got a new, and again, this woman was very enthusiastic when she came out. They've got a new Rainbow Six coming out called Quarantine, which they said this. They want Rainbow Six Quarantine to do for Rainbow Six's co-op gameplay what Rainbow Six Siege did for player versus player gameplay. So it's basically a 3-player co-op infected zombie type situation. Not the most fresh setting, but an ambitious pitch. I'm not against the idea. I like the idea of being a special operative, really leaning heavily on the realism of the setting, and the realism of the gunplay and the tactics that you'd have to employ against a threat like that. So I think that could be really fun if you have to be very tightly cooperative, kind of gameplay. That could be cool. If you're like breaching and charging and trying to reinforce against marauding enemies. That could be cool, couldn't it?
Yeah, I haven't played that game for a long time. It's bloody good though, isn't it? When it came out,
Siege, it's still bloody good today. I mean, it's got one of the strongest esports followings out there. It's absolutely massive. I think around now we got to my favorite bit of every Ubisoft conference, which is the Just Dance segment. where they get a bunch of colorful, crazy people in silly costumes to come out and dance around very, 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 very well. Always look great, bring in the positivity. I love it. That's one of the things I love about Ubisoft. All their conferences, all their presenters, whenever they come out, seem to really love what they're there to talk about. They seem to really care.
Do you
Sorry?
know anyone who's bought that game ever?
No, but I don't know many sort of people from that demographic that you'd expect that's aimed at. By that I mean 13-year-old girls.
Yeah, I've never had that game.
Cameron buys it every year. He loves it. It's the reason
Got
his
my
Wii's
latest
still plugged in.
gens.
It's so weird. I don't. Well, now I do, but I haven't known anyone who's bought that game, and it keeps coming out.
It's
And it
huge.
keeps coming out on Wii. It's still
Massive.
coming out on the Wii, even now.
I love that. That's amazing, and it's huge. The game is massive. Like it's got one of those ginormous followings that nobody who's a hardcore gamer really understands. But
Yeah.
it's the appeal to families and to children. It's just absolutely massive. Yep. So they briefly touched on Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It's getting a story creator, which is kind of cool, which you can do on PC. For Honor's got a new thing. I don't care about For Honor. One of the Ubisoft doing the weird stuff. So they have this dude from Always Sunny in Philadelphia come out to talk about this new TV show that they've made for Apple, in which it's about a man, it's about a group of people developing a video game. And clearly Ubisoft is the partner on this because they've made the game visuals for them and probably helped them with the research. The thing that made me laugh is, though, he's playing this game director and he is the most game director looking game director you've ever seen. It's like he's copied and mished together like 4 Ubisoft game directors that have come out on stage in the last 10 years and created this character. It's like, oh, you're nailing this. This looks like it could be. I mean, do you guys watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've watched quite a lot. Rob McKenna, he's funny as hell.
Yeah,
he is.
I think if it was anybody else with like any less of a comedy pedigree, that when they showed the trailer for this TV show, I'd be like, not sure. But because it's that creative team, that could be really flipping good. Like it could be really funny and well observed and well written. So I'm actually quite excited for Mythic Quest. It's got a great name for a fake video game as well. It's what is it? Mythic Quest, and they're releasing their first expansion, and it's called Raven's Banquet. And it just sounds like a perfectly generic fantasy MMO. It's just like nailing it. So I think that could be really good. We got John Bernthal as well came out. There's some good people on this Ubisoft stage. He came out because he's the big bad guy, isn't he, in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which is their new Ghost Recon game that's out this year. Yeah. Also known as the Punisher, also known as Shane from The Walking Dead. They have a big problem with this game, in my opinion. I was watching all this footage, and I've watched a lot of the coverage for Breakpoint, and he is fucking charismatic as fuck as this bad guy. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to play as a ghost. I want to play as a wolf. I want to be the bad guy. I want to fight with John Bernthal. I don't want to fight against him. They've not built any of the good guy characters up at all. I don't give a shit about those guys. He's amazing. Like, why would I want to fight against him? Like, I'd be signing up. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, ghosts. Yeah, you're not for me. I'm off to. Yeah, I'm gonna be a wolf. Sorry.
I don't know, that sometimes works. The Call of Duty games have done that quite well in the past, haven't they? Casting a visible bad guy.
Kevin Spacey, who became the bad guy he was portraying.
Well, yeah.
It's pretty genius, that. Yeah. It's like they saw into the future. I don't know. I mean, I know what you're saying, Rich, but to put the whole crux of the kind of characterization is on the villain, and he is really charismatic, that dude. The way he's portraying this guy as a villain, it's just like, yeah, I don't want to. I'm not going again. I'm joining up. I love you a little bit. I love you. Like, Mr. Wolfman. I don't know your character's name, but I'm going to call you Wolfman.
You got to have some really like charismatic villains, though. I mean, like, who was it that was in a Far Cry? Pagan Min, and
he was barely in it though.
That's the thing, though. Even though he was in it a small amount of time, he made a really big impact for me because he's got so much. Like, he's not just like a. I gotta kill you. I gotta kill everyone. I gotta kill him. I'm gonna kill it. He was like, "Hey, I gotta kill you last after I butcher your family. Catch you later, buddy." You
I don't
know?
know. I mean, the difference here with the Burnfall's character is that he's got this code of honor thing, and it's like he's not really a bad guy. He's just coming at things from a slightly skewed moral standpoint. So you can sympathize with him almost too much. Do you know what I mean? If you're trying to make a realistic, evenly paced character development, it's like, well, maybe you've gone too far into making him understandable and you empathize with, because that's the vibe I've got so far from their promotional material. It's like he's not really done anything evil in any of the trailers. He's taken over an island and got control of their drone production facilities. Okay, so the ghosts are going in to kick him out because they're the tools of the oppressive government. I mean, what what are we trying to draw from that? I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. You tell me, guys. The final thing I wanted to mention was the Division 2. Lots and lots and lots of DLC coming. Glad I got the season pass for that. And they're going back to New York, which seems quite exciting to tie a bow on that storyline to do with the rogue division agent, which I think will be quite interesting. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. It seems to me like a lot of the story that was cut out of the main part of the Division 2 game seems to be coming in the DLC, which is kind of weird that we're getting all this narrative stuff after the campaign, which is very narrative light.
Why did they cut the story?
I'm not saying they did, but I'm just saying that the actual narrative, the actual story in Division 2 is very, very flimsy. That it's more of a case of they tying together. It's all about rebuilding Washington. The story. It's not really about the dollar flu. It's not about the division agent. I forget his name off the top of my head, who went rogue in the first one, which sided with the guy that was spreading the dollar flu. It's not about any of that really. The main story. It seems to be that they're getting to that in the DLC instead. Which is cool. I mean, it gives you a reason to want to play it, the DLC. But it seems odd that they removed it, or just didn't do it. I don't know. Maybe that was the plan all along. Anything else you guys wanted to bring up from Ubi?
No, I want to talk about Square.
Do you? Because I don't want to talk about Square for too long. Because oh my god, you guys didn't watch the whole thing, did you?
No.
We left that to you, buddy.
It was so boring, guys. I mean,
I'll tell you what, it was the one I tried to watch. So I watched Xbox, and then I thought, oh, I'll dip into the others. I'll start with Square because Final Fantasy VII looks interested.
Fool.
Shit.
Generally,
it's just translation. It's just translation.
That's the worst thing, and it kills it. It kills the momentum stone dead when you've got two bored-looking Japanese dudes talking in Japanese for 5 minutes, and then the translator, in as bored a tone as possible, reciting what they've said. You just don't care. It doesn't work as a presentation method. It's really boring. Plus, they seem to just want to show, here's 14 JRPGs that we're remastering or remaking or bringing out finally, and the crowd were all screaming as if these things you should care. The main takeaway for me is that the Final Fantasy VII remake looks old. Visually, it looks old, like really old. Like it's a game that's been in development for the 3 or 4 years since we first saw it, and now it looks dated when you compare it to all the other games that we've seen at the show so far. That it's coming out now, it will be coming out in a year against Death Stranding, against Watch Dogs Legion, against Cyberpunk 2077. Just the list goes on, and it looks like a game from 3 years ago, because it is. And couple that with the really, really, really boring looking fighting mechanics. Why does anybody want to play that game? It looks terrible.
They announced they were going to do 8 as well, and I can sympathize with that a bit more because 8 was the first Final Fantasy game I got to play, actually.
8? I don't know much about 8.
I know it seems to be like 7 was like the staple, But for me, maybe it's a generation thing. Like I was a year behind 7 or something. But 8 on the PS1 was always my Final Fantasy game.
I mean, that's only going to be a remaster, not a remake. And if it's just a remaster of early polygonal graphics, it's going to look like terrible. Just really bad.
See, if they did the same thing as they're going to do with 7.
Best Final Fantasy game? Best Final Fantasy game? 6. Anyone else want to fight me on that?
No,
never played any of them apart from 7 and what's a decent Xbox one? 14?
Okay. So 6 is the pinnacle of the 2D pixel art era for Final Fantasy. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's got a great story, fantastic characters. And it's kind of like, you know, for me, the best Square Enix game I've played in ages was Octopath Traveler, which is the most gorgeous looking old school JRPG. But it's like they've taken all the lessons, Octopath Traveler, which is actually showed the PC version at the show, all the lessons of how to make a pixel art JRPG, modernized it, brought it into 2019, and it's unbelievably good. Did you like the look of 7 then, Rich, the remake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they show gameplay though?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I haven't seen the gameplay stuff.
Oh man, turgid. Like,
bad.
So Final Fantasy 7 is a turn-based JRPG, right? So they've decided to like excise the turn-based and just put in what looks to be really boring melee combat, which you then kind of occasionally will get a special power when using it. Your power bar will go up and you can do something like a big attack or whatever, or a magic or a spell. But for the most part, you just look like you're really boringly swinging your sword at enemies that don't move.
Well, I'm not a fan of that sort of game because the combat is boring as fuck. But yeah, I suppose I quite liked the look of Final Fantasy VII, and some of the characters are just cool.
They look really 90s, I'll tell you that. Some of the fashion, you're like, oh damn, what's that girl wearing? Looks like she's literally just stepped out of a Friends episode. It's like, what is going on? It's like it really does though, because that's the era. So if you think about it, those early polygonal fashion choices now extrapolated into high resolution, you know, modern polygonal fashion. It's like, oh, it's just the 90s. It's just 90s clothes.
I like that though.
Everyone's wearing fingerless gloves, like
pretty much.
That,
no, they are. I believe actually. I'm actually looking at a picture right now with people wearing fingerless gloves.
It's great. It's like
tank tops and fingerless gloves.
It's like everyone Disney wears those weird like white glove things going on.
It's I don't know. I think that game. It's not for me. It's for fans of 7, and I am not a fan of 7. So
I'm not sure I'd buy it. I'm just interested to see it, really. But what does strike me as odd, they did say it's episodic, didn't they, a while back?
I believe it still is. That it may not be really finished for a long time.
They're not really saying that. They're letting you pre-order it and stuff, but they're not saying how much of the game you're going to get.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. Get the first disc. That's all you get for that price. Everything else is DLC.
Before we talk about the big meme of the show, I just wanted to mention People Can Fly's Outriders, which again, full CGI trailer. These People Can Fly, the guys that made Bulletstorm. If you go way back, they're the guys that did, I believe, the Painkiller series. Really good shooter developer. Really understands fast pace, FPS.
People Can Fly, wasn't it?
Yeah. Really good. Solid developer. They've got this new game coming out, Outriders. It's going to be 3-player co-op. It just looked cool. I don't know much more about that trailer. Big monsters, kind of really oppressive looking visuals. You know, it's going to have high impact combat, you know, because that's what they do best. I'm interested to see what that game becomes, but we don't really know much about it yet.
They've been involved with Gears before, haven't they? They did Gears Judgment.
Yeah.
It looks like it could be a Gears game, but it's another one where it's just CG. I've got no idea what the game looks like. But
no idea at all. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. And I don't mean Captain America with his new suit that makes him look really fat.
I was thinking that.
Let's talk about well, he's dead anyway. Dies in the trailer, so like whatevs. So let's talk about Marvel's
spoiler alert. Christ.
Marvel's well, they put it in the trailer. So Marvel's Avengers by Squeenix and Eidos Montreal. It's weird, yeah, guys. Like, right. It's their own thing. They're doing a brand new story. It's not a comic book adaptation. It's not related to the MCU, right? So that's really cool that we're going to get a new story. They're going to have to do their own character models. They can't look like the actors. Otherwise, you have to get the license to get over that. That's how it was always going to be. They've got a great voice acting cast. Troy Baker's in there. Nolan North's in there. Really high quality voice acting for video games. But this is a game that's meant to come out May next year. And yet what they showed felt like something that's like 2 years away.
Yeah.
It felt so early, this trailer. And then again, no gameplay. Though there has been gameplay behind the scenes to press. And the one comment I got from the presentation, which was really surprising, was that they were showing was that the first half of the presentation was spent introducing the characters to the press.
Who doesn't know who they are by now?
This is my point exactly. These are characters from the largest movie franchise of all time that everyone on the planet, especially in fucking E3, has seen.
Not to mention the highest grossing movie of, I think, all time.
So did you guys just watch the trailer? Because the stage presentation did something similar. They actually had like their icons at the back on the screen after they showed the first trailer. And then they go, Captain America, Super Soldier, Man Out of Time, Thor,
Dead.
God of Thunder, has father issues.
Dead.
Didn't actually say that. But like, it's just, and they went through them and we went, yeah, we fucking know who they are, bro. Like, why are you doing this? It just felt so weird.
Are you going to introduce Lara Croft again in another game? No, you're not. You know who she is by now.
Yeah, and I mean, so and then we got a final trailer, which you might not have seen it, but it's basically a dialogue scene between Banner and Tony, and under which they stood under the statue of Captain America, talking about how they failed him, strongly implying Cap died in the explosion on the helicarrier. So I'm not really sure.
Spoiler alert.
What the goal was with any of this? I mean, what was your guys' takeaway? I mean, it looked early. I don't think it looked bad per se. They made some artistic choices, shall we say? Yeah. But what do you think? I don't understand how those two developers can spent that long on a game and it only looks like this.
I don't know. I mean, I played the PS3 Iron Man game. I think it's PS3 game. And
yeah, it was.
That was not great.
That was Sega, though. I think.
Sorry.
That was a Sega game, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, it was. God, it was like playing Superman Returns.
Brilliant endorsement, yeah. What did you think, Rich? I mean, I want an Avengers game to be amazing.
Do you not think it looks good then? Because I think visually it's good.
I think the models look really weird.
I think just like you were saying about how Final Fantasy VII and everything will appear when it comes out compared to other games, they could look more defined. You know?
I don't know. Bear in mind, I suppose I've not watched it on a big TV or anything. I've only been looking at it on my little computer and phone and that. So it looks fine on small screens. But my beef with it is that I don't really know what the game is still, because the trailer gives no indication of what the gameplay is like. I guess it's like some sort of Destiny persistent.
All right, I'll talk to that. They talk about this in the presentation. Okay, so there's a story. The story is single player, in which you will play as different members of the Avengers team, and which they are doing Cap, Iron Man, Thor, Black Widow, and Hulk. Right. Those will be the characters you play as for the story. When the story is complete, the game will also have multiplayer, which will be like Anthem. It's the vibe I got from it, the way they talked about it. It's kind of like Anthem. So shared world, customizable, whatever that means. Probably some NTX in there, but not egregious. They made a point of saying no loot boxes. Yeah, but even from that presentation, it still isn't clear. I mean, the press did get some gameplay. They didn't get hands-on, but they did get some gameplay. And supposedly it looked pretty, like a melee brawler, like you'd expect from those characters. Nothing that groundbreaking. I just don't understand how you have Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal, right? So two developers that were pulled from their incredibly successful franchises. So Tomb Raider and Deus Ex, and were put on this like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and this is all we have at this point with the game coming out in less than a year's time. I just can't.
You mentioned Anthem.
Understand it.
Well, like that all over again.
Yeah, perhaps it is. I don't know. It just looks concerning because it's not a movie tie-in game. Let's be clear. So it doesn't mean it has to suck. But I don't know. The weight of the license.
Some of the characterization is a bit weird as well. And I noticed.
Yeah, definitely.
Tony Stark just sounds like Spider-Man. He sounds like this boyish imp rather than the the character that you get from the MCU.
So Tony Stark's being voiced by Nolan North.
He just sounds
You
like
know, the voice of everything.
He sounds like a little boy, like proper Spider-Man vibe. What was Spider-Man in this? Oh no, it's Iron Man.
I think that's the biggest problem. It's tonally, because you're showing this a month after Endgame, right? So everybody's got that very fresh in their mind, the characterization from the MCU.
Yeah.
So maybe timing is just working against them. Like,
maybe.
I don't know, but I think we're still going to see a lot more of this. I'm hoping what we've been shown is just early, like from, I don't know, best part of a year ago or something, because that's what it felt like. It felt like a game, still early days. But anyway, so that's kind of the end of Square Enix. Wasn't that big in my opinion. It just a lot of crappy fucking JRPGs. So we're getting on to the final one. The final one of the show. Not exactly a conference, but they did a direct, and they hit a lot of things. They covered a lot of stuff. So where do you guys want to start? I'm not the biggest Nintendo person. Rich, do you wanna pull out some stuff for Nintendo?
Well, first thing that comes to mind is the Zelda remaster of Link's Awakening. God, that looked pretty.
Looks lovely. Supposedly plays like shit. So it's a bit of a bummer. That's what the reports have been from the show floor. Huge frame rate problems in the outside areas of the game. So when you're not in a dungeon or a house. So hopefully they optimize it.
I'd like to touch on one of my favorite games, which is Crypt of the Necrodancer, which is one of my favorite ones.
They're doing a Zelda equivalent, aren't they?
They have done. It's already out. My friend's got a Switch. He actually was playing on his lunch break today, and I was like, let me have a go now.
Cadence of Hyrule.
Cadence of Hyrule, exactly. It plays like Zelda, like as you run around and you do general bush and pot, general kind of whacking with swords.
Thank you.
And then the only kind of Crypt of the Necrodancer spot that pops up only when enemies are around. So you don't have to maintain the rhythm through the entire game, sort of thing. You can, once everyone's dead, you can then pot around and find all your hidden gems and get your rupees all you want. But it still plays quite well. You have to learn the patterns of enemies. I don't know.
I want to buy it.
I didn't get it. He got it.
Oh.
I got it for free because he bought it.
Sounds pretty good.
But no,
Crypt of the Necrodancer is awesome. So
I came off my lunch break late, and I got yelled at for it. That's how enthralled I was in it.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so I'm into that.
Somebody find out how much this is, because I want to buy it. Richard, find out how much it is, even though your microphone's currently muted.
And I suppose one of the big ones was I've lost it. Star Wars, of course.
Star Wars and Nintendo? What did they show? Star Wars. I've lost track.
I thought we kind of just skipped past the rest of the Nintendo stuff because it was all re-release stuff.
Oh, burn cam! Jesus! All right, okay. I think there's a couple of things we should mention. How about that they've announced that the existence of development on a sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is happening, which we won't see for another 3 years.
Fucking hell, come. Yeah, just skip that sequel to Breath of the Wild. Footnote.
There's
I'm so excited about Star Wars. I'm sorry. And by the way, Cadence of Hyrule was $24.99.
Okay, that'd be like 20 quid. Okay, that's not too bad. Yeah, I mean they're making that game. We knew they were making that game. Like hoping it will be more like next year than 3 years, but like fall next year would be good. Maybe to coincide with the Switch version 2, which is rumored to be happening, isn't it? So
I'm kind of surprised they are making a direct sequel. I thought they might edge away from that and just go back to the old template, maybe. But,
did you watch the whole direct, Rich?
No.
Because there's a really funny bit with Bowser, which no, it's not funny. They spent a good 2 minutes making a joke about the Japanese guys are now introducing Bowser, and then Mario's Bowser comes out, and then the real Bowser comes out and goes, no, I'm Bowser, and he's like, no, I'm Bowser. Like, well, we're both Bowser, but they meant me. Now piss off. It was hilarious. It wasn't, but it had to be done. To be fair, Reggie's replacement needed that joke.
They couldn't not do that, could they?
They couldn't not do it. No. Does anybody care about Animal Crossing?
Yeah,
I mean, I know Cameron doesn't, but
Well, yes, I do. I was big into Animal Crossing a few years ago, and I dropped off it hard. But this will probably get me back. Something else the wife is interested in. Wife did not want a Switch, no interest whatsoever. Now she does want one because she wants to play Animal Crossing. So I think it's coming back, guys. Looks cool. You can craft stuff. You can put furniture outside.
No.
Looks great.
Never liked Animal
Really
Crossing.
good.
However, I am looking forward to the new Pokemon games, which they showed. I think they look very good. Did you guys like Luigi's Mansion 3 with Gooigi, which looked creepy and weird?
Yeah,
as usual.
Looking forward to that.
I was always the.
What else did they show?
I liked the original one on the old GameCube, wasn't it, when it came out?
Yes, going back to the original Luigi's Mansion. Yes,
that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Launch game, I think.
Damon X Machina's looking pretty decent as well. Up for some anime with mecha action. That's coming out in September. Amazingly, very very quick. Which looks really good.
Still no Metroid news.
Talk about mind-blowing freaking ports. The Witcher 3 is going to be on Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, I think that was leaked early, but
it was. I didn't think it could be true though.
Yeah.
Did you hear what resolution it's going to be playing at on the handheld mode?
Oh god,
no.
540p. I mean, that's got to be the lowest resolution video game I've heard of in quite a while on modern systems.
If that's going to be for The Witcher 3, then apparently they're going to do Resident Evil 5 and 6 coming to the Switch.
Oh, well, they're a lot older.
Yeah, so but I mean, come on.
You should be able to pull those off.
Come on, you need more than that.
They're bringing a bunch of, like you said, I mean, you did joke, but there is a lot of ports. Trials of Mana finally coming across from Japan, first time ever translated and coming out on Switch. Netflix Dark Crystal is getting a tactics tie-in game.
New Contra.
Yep, Contra Rogue Core. Yeah, that's coming. If you're into your Contra. No More Heroes 3 is in development and it's going to come 2020. You like Travis Touchdown?
Apparently Alien Isolation will be
Alien Isolation had a port. Yeah, that's right. That's coming as well. I mean, the rule of every game should be on Switch because it's really good to be able to play games on handheld and out and about. I can't argue with that. I am tempted by The Witcher 3 again, even though it's going to look and play like shit, just because I can play it on the bus. Like,
that won't look shit on a handheld. I mean, the screen itself is only 720.
So so it plays 720 docked and 540 handheld, which is
that's all right.
Pretty atrocious. You think that's all right?
It's going to be fine.
It's terrible.
But for a Switch, yeah, it's a handheld device, mate. The screen itself is only 720 at best, so it's not terrible.
Okay. Well, we'll see when it comes out because I suspect there'll be some other sacrifices regarding not just resolution but textures. I would think after playing it in X and on a high-end PC and stuff, imagine playing it on the Switch. It's not going to be good. So that brings us to the end of all the big conferences and stuff. I just wanted to touch upon some things we didn't see, which were kind of surprising as we sort of go towards the wrap here. Beyond Good and Evil 2. There this year from Ubisoft. So I guess they're still trying to get people to do all the art assets for them. So that takes time.
Burn.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt says it's cool, then it must be totally above board that they're going to crowdsource development of the game. What a cool idea.
Well, that's going to be next gen now anyway, isn't it? So yeah, I'm not surprised that's missing.
Obviously, we had nothing from Sony, though the rumor that has kind of been confirmed is that Last of Us Part 2 is coming out in February.
Oh, that'd be nice.
So this is a very strong rumor. Bayonetta 3 didn't get a showing from Nintendo Switch, which is I guess a little bit surprising because we've had a teaser all the way back in 2017 for that, but nothing else showing on that. Obviously, no Starfield or Elder Scrolls from Bethesda.
Nah, disappointing that one.
Yeah. Would have been nice to see something Elder Scrolls, wouldn't it? Considering, well, no, we're not going to see Elder Scrolls. We can see something Starfield, but I suspect at this point that's next gen, isn't it? So that's going to be a way away. No Gears Tactics, Richard. I know that must make you sad.
Oh yeah, that's right. They showed the Gears Pop game, didn't they?
Oh yeah, Yeah, I should have mentioned that. We should have spent 20 minutes on that because that's going to be a real winner. Skull and Bones, that Ubisoft pirate game,
Yeah.
disappeared. Supposedly sometime in 2020. No Metroid Prime 4, which again we know it exists. It's being worked on, but that's all we know. I don't think that one counts. I'm not going to mention that one. Oh yeah, the new platinum game, Babylon's Fall. That didn't get anything, did it?
No.
You guys don't. I guess you guys don't care too much.
I don't know about that one. What is that?
It's it was announced last year. I don't know. It's another platinum game. Put it that way.
It's a game.
They're
It's
the
a
ones
game.
who did
It's a fantasy game with action.
They're the Bayonetta guys, though, weren't they?
Yes. Well, they do a lot of stuff, Platinum. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You think
Busy,
maybe
busy,
they kind
busy.
of the studios split over 2 games, maybe, or
Could be a little bit stressed. Too many titles. So that's everything. Like there was a few other bits and pieces that came out sort of like after the conferences, I think, but I mostly covered everything there, I think.
Yeah,
Is there anything else?
That brings to mind is that they mentioned XO19, so Xbox event coming to London.
That's cool. Very tempted to go in November. I am thinking about that quite strongly. I'll mention this because it was shown before Xbox. EA did this sort of EA Play thing, and they showed some stuff from Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
And that looks. I think I've got it pre-ordered. I had it pre-ordered since it was announced, but I am really looking forward to that game. That game looks really good.
I mean, as a fresh story, so it's not really. It doesn't look like it's picking up too many, or relying on too many of the well-known characters. If you know what I mean. Obviously, it's after episode 3 and Order 66. It's obviously gone ahead and everything like that, but to go into the same universe as following different characters, it's always been interesting, because it'll still expand upon the universe as a whole. And they were kind of saying that the combat style was kind of Dark Souls. I remember someone saying or reading.
So they're calling it. Their buzz term is thoughtful combat. And the gameplay stuff we saw was by a guy very familiar with the mechanics of the game, obviously very much an expert of what that player could do at that moment and stuff like that. And I think what it didn't convey is how it's going to feel in your hands. I suspect it's actually going to be quite, not necessarily complicated, but you're going to have to think about what you're doing. It's not going to be a hack and slash like Force Unleashed. I think it's going to be a bit more, thinking about the mechanic, thinking about the enemies you're facing, the groupings that they approach you in, stuff like that. I'm just really, I mean, supposedly there's a big open world situation to it. Or there's like a galaxy map, which you pick on board your ship, and there's lots of different planets you can go to. They're not going to be doing things like waypoints. I think it's really interesting. They're going to have that 3D holographic map, but they're not going to say, you are here, you have to go here, follow this. It's going to they're going to try and really encourage exploration. They said Metroid games were really inspirational for them in their sort of design philosophy, rather than not actually building it out as a Metroidvania, but the idea that you are encouraged to explore and to poke at things and to investigate things and to revisit areas with better powers and stuff like that, which I think is really cool. I mean, while it is a single player narrative focused story experience, it's gonna have quite a lot of game in there by the sounds of it. Like, it sounds to me more like, rather than a 10-hour Call of Duty campaign, or a 5-hour Call of Duty campaign, I should say, feels more like a 25-hour Tomb Raider game. One of the new Tomb Raiders. That kind of idea of open hub areas with like semi-open world experiences that you will explore and poke around within. Sounds really cool, man. Really exciting. Plus, you get to kill stormtroopers with a lightsaber.
Of course.
Cool.
Sold. So, so from all of this, what are your standouts? You got to pick one thing from the show that was your favorite thing. Cameron.
Keanu, love that guy.
Keanu was pretty cool. Was good.
No, for me, generally, I'm quite interested in the Elden Ring. I do like the combo of R.R. Martin and From Software. I'm kind of hoping that'll be a nice new addition to the From Software library.
Richard?
One thing, really. Right.
It doesn't have to be a game. It can be hardware. It could be, announcement. It can be, anything you want. But one thing.
Okay. Just going on my instant reaction from what I saw, Phantasy Star Online 2
Wow.
made me go mad.
Wow. That's cool. That was out of left field. I wasn't expecting that. For me, the one thing is Ubisoft's amazing looking Watch Dogs Legion, followed closely by Doom Eternal. And I'm kind of having two things because I'm in charge. So what can you do? What biggest disappointment? Thing that bummed you out the most that you thought, bit crap, not interested? Cameron.
Well, I was gonna say the one that bummed me out the most. Yeah, didn't see an Elder Scrolls 6. That was my kind of bum out moment, I guess.
Fair enough. An unrealistic thing, but okay.
Well, it's one of my favorite ones, But I guess finding out that Fallout 76 obviously didn't have NPCs that I've just learned today was a pretty big what?
It still hurts to this day.
It still hurts. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Richard.
Biggest disappointment for me, I think, was Bleeding Edge. I was really excited for.
We only kind of really touched on that, didn't we? When I mentioned that they came out first on stage, we didn't really talk about what they showed for that. I liked how hard they were going into like unique character looks and really trying to convey, representation.
Yeah.
But a multiplayer, melee focused multiplayer.
Well, that's it. I didn't have a problem with what they showed. It's just the fact it's what they were showing. That's not a Ninja Theory game to me.
Yeah, but it is. You're just talking about Hellblade. I mean, Hellblade was the last Ninja Theory game. But if you look at Ninja Theory's pedigree, you got Heavenly Sword in there and Enslaved and lots of kind of much more conventional combat-focused games.
No, but they're all single-player stories.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you didn't want a multiplayer. They did say they were working on lots of other stuff, though. I'll pop down the road when I next get a chance and ask them what's going on.
Okay, thank you.
All right. No worries. I'm sure there's something good in the works. For me, the biggest disappointment was the missed opportunity that was not coming out with a date and a price for Scarlet. I think they could have really grabbed the mind share and the initiative and got a jump on Sony at this conference with Sony not being there. I absolutely agree with what you said, Richard. They didn't have to do that. Totally agree. But if they'd been bold and just crazy balls to the wall, here are the specs, here's the price, here's the date.
What price do you think it's going to be?
Well, this is the question, isn't it? Because they might be playing a game of chicken, mightn't they?
Well, not just with Sony, but
who
with
blinks
themselves.
first?
They're still selling Xbox One X for over 400 quid.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you think it can't realistically be much more than that.
It can't be any more than that.
It can't be. So if they announce the price now, all they'd be doing is destroying their Xbox One X sales for the next 18 months.
I suppose you're right. But, at this point, shouldn't they be thinking further into the long term, about that next generation? But no, I agree. I agree. Hands up. It makes better business sense.
Brexit will happen or it won't. And, could be a 50% difference in costs. Depending which way it goes. So I would wait as well.
To mortgage the house just to buy a console.
Sounds about right.
4 loaves of bread is all I'll get. Right. Was that E3 2019, boys?
I think that is it.
In the can for another year. Obviously, we've got Gamescom just around the corner, so we might be getting out of that. We've got XO 19, like Richard has mentioned, in London in November. I think we should all go, boys. Just saying, putting it out there.
I intend to go to that.
If the prices aren't ridiculous, I'm definitely tempted, I have to say. I think it could be a fun experience for all involved.
Details are announced at Gamescom, I believe, so in August we'll know the details.
We will indeed. Unicom Cam?
I don't know. Maybe I'll get a free pass out of it.
How would you get a free pass?
From the missus to actually go.
Oh, I see. She can come too.
No, I've got
more the merrier.
Got to ask the secretary. She handles finance.
The accountant. Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was unbalanced. I thought it was a good show. Maybe a bit safe in places, but there were some fucking a million games to get excited about. Like that are all coming out in the next 5 minutes is what it feels like.
Yeah.
So that's great. And I love that that's where E3 has moved, and it's gone from, 2-3 years in advance to 18 months at the most, which I
Yes.
think is much more manageable and gets you more excited. So as we sign off, I should say, do we get an E3 in 2020? They've been very canny about this. They're not announced a date. It's kind of on the fence. Is it really relevant anymore? What do you think, Cam? Yes or no?
As long as there's games being made and consoles to come out, they're going to have an E3. That's why I see it.
Okay. I'm not sure about that. Rich?
I think Cameron's right. Particularly next year. It's the year of new hardware.
Year of hardware, sure. But on the flip side, these guys now realize that they can get more news coverage if they don't put it all out at the same time. So, it's easy for everybody to do this now. It's not as hard as it used to be. So, I don't know. I don't know. It depends. If Sony don't come back, I mean, do Microsoft come back? It's like, do they need to be there?
I think Sony will come back. They'll come back for PS5 news.
Sony will do something, yeah.
Put it this way. While it's crazy and it's intense and it's, it can be a lot of work, though, not really for us. I love it. It's something I look forward to every year. I always get excited for E3. It's always fun to talk about with people like yourselves. It gets everybody talking about games again. Gets everybody hyped for the next few months or 18 months or whatever. And I think it's something to look forward to. So I hope it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
I think we need it for stuff just like the Keanu experience, because that's
so good. So good. Just pissed all over. It's like you just had Norman Reedus on his knees and just pissed all over him. Say, you're nothing, Norman. I'm fucking Keanu.
Daryl who?
Just because they're your friends with Kojima. On that weirdly scatological note, I think that draws us to the end of Experience Kills, episode 4, E3 2019 Extravaganza. Thank you very much for being with me, boys. It's been great fun talking to you both about all of this.
It's been breathtaking.
Where can we be found? Cameron, where can they find you on the interwebs?
They can find me on the Twitters at Camelot.
Richard.
It's spelled weird though, right?
It's spelled really weird. Yeah, it's spelled really weird. It was like a challenge to find you.
Yeah.
Richard, where can they find you?
I am traditionally spelt at Colonel Red. Go look for me. Also, get Game Pass.
Get Game Pass, Cam. He's out. He's out. He's done. Drop the mic. He's had enough. You can find me at DIYE. You can find Experience Kills at Ozbak. You can find Experience Kills at Experience Kills. We're on YouTube, where you might have watched this, but it's really long. So I probably suggest you actually listen to this instead. If that's the case, check us out on Spotify, on iTunes, and wherever a good podcast can be found. We will have videos appearing continuously, so please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It really helps with visibility. We don't have a stupid Patreon, and we don't monetize the channel because, frankly, there is nothing worse than adverts on YouTube. So please stick around on Experience Kills. We look forward to seeing you all again soon. Bye.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.